frozen in time, at least for the next few minutes. They should get this cleared out here in the next little bit, and you'll be good to go after that. Want to go skiing this morning? Well, you're not alone, and we're seeing huge backups happening on Wasatch Boulevard as people are trying to get into the canyons this morning to do a little bit of skiing. Otherwise, though, the rest of your commute is looking pretty good. You may see just a titch of slowing if you're northbound on I-15 from the I-80 interchange into downtown Salt Lake City. Arrive in style for all of life's events, from the first suit to the first dance, preparing to serve or starting a life together, every age, every milestone. For nearly 60 years, Mr. Mac helping you look your best for all of life's events. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today, we'll have rain in the valley, snow in the mountains off and on throughout the day. It'll clear out tomorrow, just leaving a few clouds behind. Highs around 50, warming up to 58 on Monday before another storm moves in. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 43 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Eye on the Hill 2026 special coverage on Inside Sources.
So today we have more than just our eyes on the hill.
Yeah, we're
we are
on the
hill. I'm Holly Richardson, and I'm joined with my co-host, of course, Greg Skordas.
Yeah, this is fun to be up here. We were here for the opening day when the legislature started, and we're here again today. And this is actually
just about the halfway point.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So one of the reasons we're on the hill today is because first of all, we're halfway through the legislative session, but the other part is because on this day in 1870, the acting territorial governor of Utah signed a universal suffrage bill into law allowing women the right to vote in the territory.
We weren't even a state yet.
No, we were not even a state.
But we were way ahead of the curve. So that was
way
56 years ago. The territorial governor, I don't even know who that would have been.
156.
Oh, my word. Of course, yes. It was a long time ago. Right. My math.
So we're joined today by State Auditor Tina Cannon. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for being here. Thanks for joining me in the most coveted location on Capitol Hill.
Your offices. This is wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody wants this space. That is absolutely true. So Auditor Cannon, what can you tell us about the history of women's suffrage in Utah? Because it's really an important one.
Yes. With Utah being the first state or territory at that time to give women the right to vote, Utah had an amazing spot in the history of women's suffrage for the national movement. But it also takes us to today, that the impact of women involved in government is just as important today as it was then. We continue to need a variety of voices to make good policy, and the more we have a variety of people involved, and that includes women, and the better policy comes out of these decisions. So Utah continues to make history in this area. I'm proud to be the first Republican woman independently elected statewide in Utah, so that it has taken us a while to get to that marker, but we continue to move forward in making progress to have women represented in government.
So you're also the first female auditor, are you not?
I am.
For the state? Okay. Yeah.
What do you think was happening in our country, maybe even more especially in our state back then, that would have encouraged the governor to do something like that? I mean, why would I mean, I know that's an unfair history question, but what do you suppose was happening that really put that on?
I think that it was a recognition of just how much the pioneering women in Utah contributed to the society, and the hard work it was to set up a homestead, to really build a state. And it took strong women as well as strong men. And I think that was a recognition of how much of a role in society women played at the time. And I'm proud to be part of a state who recognized that.
Yeah, because the 19th Amendment was passed in 1920, 50
Ratified,
years later.
50 years later.
Ratified, yeah. It was passed by the House in 1919, but ratified in 1920. So it was 50 years later that became part of our Constitution. But Utah had a first woman vote 50 years earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, way ahead of the curve. So this is the day that the bill was signed, but Utah made history because what happened 2 days later?
So Seraph Young was the first woman to cast a vote in the United States. That happened 2 days later, right here in Utah. So we have the first woman to vote, the first right to vote, and the first woman voting.
Didn't take long. The governor signed
2
something
days.
on the
And
12th,
2 days
and
later,
2 days later she
we
was
were
voting.
in line.
That's right.
She
was just on her way to work that day, right? And I don't know that she knew that it was like history making. She never ended up running for office or anything like that, but she was somebody. In fact, there's a painting of her casting her vote in, I think it's the Senate chambers. Is that right? Where you can look up and you can see Sarah Young just dropping a ballot in the box on her way to go teach, I think, up at the University of Deseret at the time.
You have to wonder what people were thinking about that, how people reacted to that.
Yeah,
I mean,
if it was newsworthy, it was just like, oh yeah, well, of course.
It's one of the things that got buried, though, and that sometimes happens, right? Is sometimes we don't keep these kinds of stories alive. So you're right, Auditor Cannon, that we led the way in a lot of ways, and then we kind of forgot that history.
Yeah.
So one of my questions for you is, what work still needs to be done for moving the state forward?
Well, it is interesting still on the percentages of women. If you go a population percentage, women are 50%. We don't come near close to that, especially in the Senate here in Utah. The women representation, I think at one point there were more men named Dan than there were women in the Senate. So I think it's still a struggle. But it's improving, especially in local governments. It's improving how many women get involved and really let their voice be heard in leadership roles. But I think that I've seen all of the challenges as well, being the first statewide elected for the Republican women. We still have some work to do in recognizing women's voices, unfortunately. But I think we should be proud of the history that we have. We should be proud of how far we've come, and we just need to recognize there's still work to do.
It seems like both parties, even now, have events and things that they do to try to encourage women to run, and which tells me that they want more women to run. What encouraged you to run, of all things?
You know, it's interesting because I nearly did not run for this because I knew the statistics.
I mean, statewide race,
yeah,
that's a big deal.
It's a statewide race. And knowing that it had never been able to happen before for the Republican Party, I nearly didn't run. But I did have strong encouragement from my prior boss. I was the deputy state auditor at the time. When John encouraged me to run, felt like that I was ready, that I could do this. It was a lot of work. But I also had a great supportive spouse, and we tease him everywhere we go. It's kind of funny. He introduces himself now as Tina's husband, and we joke about, well, maybe I need a wife and not a husband because he has a full-time job as well, so he's not as involved as other political wives. But it's been fun to watch the difference in how he recognizes now when people will just assume that he's the elected official and not me. It's really interesting to the dynamic. He had never experienced that before this position, and now it's kind of a joke everywhere we go, that and how he positions himself when we are speaking to other people to try to make sure that they recognize who they're supposed to talk to. It's funny. It's ironic, but it's fun. It's a fun thing for him to experience it from my perspective, but it still brings it home in a very real way.
We've only got about a minute, but John steps aside, and you're sort of the heir apparent, but you still have to run. I mean, what was that like? I've run statewide elections.
Yeah, statewide elections are completely different. So we put 35,000 miles on a car that year, and we were at everything, everywhere. And Dave was my favorite campaign person because then I didn't worry about, is it okay if we share a hotel room to save money? But the cost of a statewide race is very prohibitive, and that's one of the reasons why it's been hard for women to do it, because without someone setting that path and being able to win, you have to look at campaign donations are like an investment, and if they haven't seen a return on that investment in the past, it's hard for them to say, yes, this is something worth donating to because it will happen. So breaking that barrier was a big deal to be able to do.
All right, thanks. And you're going to stay with us over the break and be with us for one more segment. So thank you. Stay with us.
Do you remember when tankless water heaters were the big new thing? We all had a friend that was raving about how efficient they were, heating only the water that was needed, saving money, water, the efficiency, amazing. And then sitting next to it was the ordinary water softener, regenerating soft water every night, no matter how much was used, using a predictable yet completely wasteful amount of salt. Looking back, it really doesn't make sense, does it? If you don't have a Kinetico soft water system, you're likely using about 2/3 more salt then you need two. It's not rocket science. It's the same way a tankless water heater only heats the water you use. A Kinetico water softener precisely uses the exact amount of salt needed to give you endless, perfectly soft water for your 2-bed condo or 4-story mansion. Save on money, save on salt. Call Northern Utah's authorized Kinetico dealer, 801-576-8600, or visit softwaterutah.com. Tell them Doug Wright sent you.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, 2 locations, Salt Lake City and Hurricane. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. Utah State Fair Park and Washington County Fair Legacy Park. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Utah State Fair Park. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Washington County Fair Legacy Park. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Starting price is too low to advertise. 2 locations, Salt Lake City and Hurricane. Utah State Fair Park and Washington County Fair Legacy Park. Deep, deep discounts. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. 2 locations, Salt Lake City and Hurricane. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
A warning on cryptocurrency kiosk scams from AARP Utah. Scammers are getting smarter, and Utahns are paying the price. Criminals are using cryptocurrency ATMs to commit fraud, stealing people's retirement savings and costing Utahns millions of dollars a year. Many scams start with an unexpected call, text, or email from someone claiming to be a trusted source, like your bank, a business you use, or even law enforcement. They'll tell you there's an urgent problem and instruct you to take cash to a crypto kiosk or ATM. They may even stay on the phone pressuring you to act fast and keep it secret. But once you feed cash into a crypto ATM, it's converted to cryptocurrency and sent to the scammer's wallet, and it can be almost impossible to recover. Remember, no legitimate organization will ever ask you to pay with cryptocurrency. Learn more at the rising cost of cryptocurrency scams by visiting aarp.org/UT. A message paid for by AARP Utah.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At the UPS Store, we know being a small business owner means holiday time is still go time. Still get those orders shipped time. And still re-up on stamps and supplies time. That's why this upcoming holiday, while others close up shop, we'll be open. And happy to help you keep being unstoppable. Come into your local store today. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, pricing, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
I think my biggest challenge was getting through to him to understand that love is real and you have goals in mind, you have things that want to happen, and I want to help you get there.
Sometimes people tend to shy away from wanting to adopt teenagers because they feel like they've lost so much, but there's still so much to gain.
Just knowing that there's just that other person that cares and loves me out there, it feels great. And they've done so much for me, and I can only be appreciative every single day for just having them in my life.
I think it's been the best decision because I gained a son, and he's the best son ever. If I was down and out, he'd be there.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
And we're back on the Hill, and we're back with the state auditor, Tina Cannon, in your office. So thank you for letting us use this today.
Thank you
for the morning. You know, you can't use this office until noon today. Tell us
We're
this.
good with that.
I'm looking at an audit, or at least a report that came out just 2 days ago that was prompted by looks like a whistleblower complaint regarding this Health and Human Services Department. Can you tell us sort of what started that?
Yes. So the state auditor was given additional responsibilities in May of 2025, and that gives us oversight over privacy and data security across all of the 1,800 government entities across the state. And because there are 1,800 of them, they gave me 3 privacy auditors. So you can see that so we've kind of triaged where we go and how we evaluate this, and we have started with the whistleblower. So this was our first whistleblower case. This started in May of 2025. We have actually held this report for 7 months to give the agency time to implement our recommendations, to bring more security back to the agency, so that we are making sure that the most vulnerable people with the most disturbing information that could be made available are protected and are following the recommendations for data privacy.
What type of information are we talking about?
We're talking about all of the case files. So
wow.
So can you just clarify for us and for our listeners, case files under what department?
So this is Children and Family Services, this is foster care, this is the state hospital. These are the most sensitive of all records.
And these records don't have the data protections that they needed, is what your audit found.
That's what we found. Yes.
So what had happened? What was the breach?
So it's an internal breach is what we were initially coming in to look at. We started looking at how they handle internal breaches, or when someone who is authorized starts going beyond what they should be looking at, and how long they spend looking at that. And then we determined just how many people have access to all of the records. And you, in a situation like that, you would want to limit who had access to everything down to just those who have a need to know. You can always give more access, but if you have too many people who have access, you just need one weak link. They talked about in the audit that was presented before that their benchmark is 90%. If you have 10% of your workforce who are a weak link for data privacy, that is just unacceptable.
Right.
Because the bad guys only have to be right once. And the good guys have to be good 100% of the time. So you have to have a stronger understanding of how to protect than the bad guys do. And this is an emerging field and an area where we expect government to start hiring for those very skills. And they need to be very careful in how they select and who they select, and then take their advice when they're given good advice over how to protect this data.
So after you get this information, you contact the Department of Health and Human Services, you give them some time period to cure the problem?
Well, since this was our first one, we were typically we would release in 2 weeks.
That's right.
But we realized if we release in 2 weeks, we're exposing this in a way that could create a bigger problem. So this is an emerging area where we are trying to balance keeping that security there while still pressuring the agency to actually implement. And we're trying to come to a balance. So we held it as long as we felt like we should be holding it. We still need to report back to the legislature, especially in a budget crunch season, so that proper allocation of resources can happen. My recommendation out to all of the government agencies, we are seeing data breaches across multiple entities. We need to make sure that you are hiring qualified people to be over this part. The largest collector of personal data are state and local governments. You need to be able to protect it. So you need good staff who are able to actually implement the recommendations and the cutting edge technologies that keep this information safe.
Right. I think cybersecurity is a huge issue. And were your recommendations really just hire the right people, or did it go beyond that?
It went beyond that. There are some very good standards that are out there. We actually went to the Department of Technology Services and did some checking over how long would it take if you were actually taking this seriously and working quickly. How long would it take to close these gaps, so that we were hearing from the experts at the state how long that would be. We took that into consideration as we released. But that's also one of the reasons why we released. We need the agencies to take it seriously as well. This is not a situation where you can take a social worker and make them your data security expert. That just doesn't work in today's environment.
When a complaint or an issue is brought up by a so-called whistleblower, does that make a difference in how you handle it? Because
yes.
To me, in the legal profession, you would be a little more circumspect with something that came in that way.
And that's why we offered the legislature a private meeting offline so that we could discuss exactly how we knew, how we verified this, because we do want to make sure, it was one of the concerns we had, we can see through their internal correspondence how whistleblowers are treated. That is frightening to me, because still in audit, whether it is finance, whether it's data security, the most common way we catch waste, fraud, and abuse is through whistleblowers. Utah's whistleblower protections need strengthening in major ways. But we have to keep that information secure, and we also have to do what we can to make sure that what we release doesn't expose who told us.
Can you tell our listeners just what, I mean, this sound like a dumb question, but I don't get up here. What's the mission of the state auditor?
So the state auditor, it's expanding every day up here because we're over all governmental revenue across the state. So we have $100 billion in oversight. That's every government entity, federal funds, state funds, all local governments as well, universities. So between spending and assets, it's $100 billion. And then several years ago, they added data privacy to that as a trainer. And in May of 2025, they added data privacy as an audit function of the state auditor. Because we are over all of those entities, we were the most logical conclusion over who gets into these entities and can add it as part of the regular financial reviews that we do. So it's becoming part of the regular review we do for compliance with best practices, both financially and data privacy.
Okay, so your office is the size of my living room. You must have staff
I do have
somewhere.
We are topping the charts now at 51 employees, over 1,800 entities, and $100 billion. But I do have staff on the top floor of the Senate building as well. This is my communications hub where because I answer just to the public,
right.
Our communications team and our local government team are focused over here so that especially during the session, we have people walk in. We have whistleblowers who still come in through these doors. And then, of course, we're over Transparent Utah, and that's the room you're in. So we take all of that information over all of those government entities, and we have made transparent.utah.gov so that the listeners can follow along at home, and you can see what we can see. And that's where every taxpayer dollar in Utah is spent by who and how.
I have to ask another question. I know I've asked like 5 in a row.
Yes,
okay.
you have.
Okay.
Yes, you have.
This is the last one. So you worked under John for several years, maybe
yes.
under several. You coming in as a woman, have you noticed how you are treated differently than he was, if at all?
Oh, boy, that's a loaded question there, Greg. Yes, it's obvious to me. I was the deputy. I worked with the legislature on the space issue under John. I am very aware of the difference. And, yeah, it's been interesting, to say the least. Things that have never been questioned under John that are now questioned under me.
Good answer.
Well, now you made me forget what my question was. So, look, I did want to ask, we only have about a minute left, but what can you say about the difference between the state auditor and a legislative auditor? Because I think a lot of times people think they're the same, and I don't think they are.
They're not the same at all. So I'm an independently elected. I'm independently elected for a reason. The state auditor has existed since Utah was a territory. I have the records from 1847 from the first state auditor, or the territorial auditor at the time. So and the legislative auditor was created in 1979. But that independence is that crucial part. The legislative auditor answers to the legislature. I am independent of all other government entities and branches of government. I answer only to the people of Utah.
All right. Thank you so much for that. That was State Auditor Tina Cannon. And when we come back after this next break, we'll be joined by Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson. Stay with us.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, 2 people are in the hospital after being hit by cars this morning. West Valley police say the juvenile was hit by a car and someone else got out to help them before they were hit. That second driver fled the scene. The police are investigating and looking for clues. A chiropractor in Cache County, already facing sexual abuse accusations, is now facing dozens of new charges. More women have come forward accusing Evan Lefevre of abuse. The Cache Valley Daily reports Lefevre was arrested Wednesday night at his home after 30 new charges were filed. Our top national story this hour, there are some updates in the Minnesota immigration crackdown. ABC's Karen Travers has the details.
President Trump's border czar Tom Homan announced Thursday the administration's surge of law enforcement in Minnesota has ended and agents will now begin leaving the state. Homan claiming Minnesota is now, quote, less of a sanctuary state for criminals.
I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude. A significant drawdown has already been underway this week and will continue through the next week.
Homan was sent to Minneapolis last month following the fatal shooting of Alex Preddy, and as the administration was facing mounting pressure for its aggressive tactics on immigration enforcement. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Your money at this moment, the markets are headed down now. The Dow is down 502. That's 1%. We're back below 50,000 at 49,618. The NASDAQ at this hour is down 429 points. That is 1 9/10%. Coming up, we've got rain and snow in the mountains today off and on. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you with high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio. So we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
Well, what other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Are you looking to upgrade your home this year? Advanced Window Products is your local window and door manufacturer that sells direct to the public.
That's right, celebrating 40 years serving Utah since 1986. And right now, it's the New Year, New Window sale. Get $2,500 off when you buy 10 windows or more.
Our windows are made right here in Salt Lake City. Sales and installation are all in-house, meaning no middleman markups. You get the most affordable, high-quality custom windows in the state.
We build it, we install it, and we guarantee it for life.
Every window comes with a lifetime warranty, labor, glass, and parts included, serviced by our local team, and the warranty is transferable to the next homeowner.
Financing is available too. Save now, pay later, with payments as low as $150 a month.
Buy local and support the local economy. Don't wait. Buy 10 windows or more and get $2,500 off. Beat the rush and call today.
Call us at 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or visit us at advancedwindows.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Direct deposit gets you $300. Love where you bank. And here's Jason Jones.
Amanda, we are running accident-free at this point. If you're northbound on I-15, you're not going to find any delays headed into downtown Salt Lake City. Likewise, southbound coming out of Weber and Davis counties, it's looking really good there. No other problems on major highways or major feeders. And they made efficient work of all of those cars that were stacked up on Wasatch Boulevard trying to get into the canyons this morning to do some skiing. And so all of the delays that we had there have been cleared. But remember, there are traction restrictions in place if you want to head into Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons this morning. Don't miss the Sportsman's Vacation and RV Show coming to the Mountain America Expo Center February 12th through 15th. Hundreds of RVs all in one location. Buy tickets online at UtahRVShow.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy, although I did see the sun poke its head out downtown. We'll have rain off and on this afternoon and more snow in the mountains. Clearing out for the weekend, just a few clouds, and another storm moves in on Tuesday. Right now it's 45 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Eye on the Hill 2026 special coverage on Inside Sources.
So we're still back on the Hill and very excited to have with us Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson. Welcome to Inside Sources.
Well, thank you. It's great to see you guys up here.
You're with us every once in a while. You're always available, so we appreciate it very much. And in person and here at the Capitol, it's kind of fun.
It's very convenient to have you here.
So today, one of the things that we told our listeners, it was on this day in 1870 that the territorial governor actually assigned the universal suffrage law for the territory. And then 2 days later, we had the very first vote with Seraph Young. And of course, I know that has been an issue with our relationship. We've known each other for a long time, but also with sending Martha to Washington, you were really involved with that. But my very first question that I want to ask you is, what made you get involved in politics?
Oh gosh, my grandma.
Tell us your history a little bit, because you were in politics before you became lieutenant governor.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I never set out to get involved in politics. I didn't even know how to get involved in politics. My youngest child started school in 2007, the fall of 2007. And so I was really looking for a way to get more involved in the community. I'd always voted. I considered myself a political junkie. I really only paid attention to national politics, which is what most political junkies do, right? But I was trying to figure out how to get more involved. And then through my grandmother, I met someone who was working on a campaign. That's how I met you, Holly. That's right. We started making phone calls for a candidate who was running for Congress. And one thing led to another. I ended up working an entire year, the year 2008, the entire year for free, doing stuff that he couldn't afford to pay people who knew what they were talking about, knew what they were doing. So he got people like me and Holly who had no idea, but were willing to do lots of work. Right. And so I learned a lot through that process. Ended up, after we got him elected to Congress, running his political operation out of my laundry room in Spanish Fork for about 4 years. And then there was some redistricting in 2011 that plopped a brand new open Senate seat down in South Utah County. I live in Spanish Fork. So because of all that stuff I'd done, starting with just volunteering to make phone calls a few years earlier, when that opportunity came, I decided to go for it, to run for the Utah State Senate. And it's not like I felt like I was prepared or ready, or I almost didn't. It was terrifying to me. But that's how I got started. So I won a seat in the Utah Senate, and then it was the same year that Spencer Cox won a seat in the Utah House. So we were freshmen together, and then he became lieutenant governor, served in that capacity for 7 or so years. And then in 2020, when he ran for governor, he asked me to join him as his running mate for lieutenant governor.
Okay, so now you're jumping into the statewide forum, a statewide race.
Right.
And Utah, let's face it, doesn't have a history of a lot of women in statewide office.
Yeah, we have 2 now.
Yeah, right, which is great.
Yes.
Great. So how did you feel about jumping into that? Because that was a brave move.
It was, you know what? Like every time I've done anything that I'm glad I did it because I overcame, well, maybe didn't even know, I did it despite being terrified, right? So I got, when I was a freshman at BYU, I was 18 years old. I heard a talk from someone who said something that changed my life, literally changed my life. And it was, don't take counsel from your fears. And every time I have encountered a situation throughout my life where I have been afraid of failure, afraid of looking stupid, afraid of whatever, I remember that. And it has been a game changer for me. It has literally changed my life.
All right, I'm going to ask you about your job now.
Okay.
So you're over state elections, and there's just so much chatter about election security and voter data and privacy. In fact, we were just talking with the state auditor, and she mentioned that there were over 2 million individuals whose data was actually potentially exposed. What can you tell us about voter data privacy in the state of Utah?
It's a really good question, and it's one that's on a lot of people's minds these days. In Utah, we're a little bit different than most states. Voter registration rolls are, by federal law, supposed to be available to the public, right? And they are. But Utah has had laws on the books for quite a while now that allows individual voters to opt into some privacy protections. And quite a few voters do opt into those privacy protections. And so when they do, I and other election officials are prohibited by law from giving out their information except in certain circumstances. And so, we hear a lot about people saying, oh, the state's hiding their voter rolls or hiding, and that's not the case. The state, we're following the law, and the law allows individuals to opt into these privacy protections. And sometimes there's really good reasons for people to do that. Maybe they're a but they don't want their address and all their information to be publicly available to everybody. Maybe they're a public official of some sort or a public figure, and they don't want their address out there being publicized and being targeted. And we've seen a lot of that happening in recent years. And so there are really good, valid reasons why people would want to be able to exercise their right to vote and have some privacy protection. Now, there are certain pieces of our voter registration that's always private. Your driver's license number, your social security number, your date of birth, that's always private. We don't give that out to anybody unless we absolutely have to under certain circumstances. And even that data right now is at risk. There are efforts to really undo all of the privacy protections that we have, give private data to third parties, give private data to federal agencies. And it is, I think every voter ought to be concerned.
So let me ask you about mail-in voting, because we've talked to you over the course of the years when you became involved in so deeply involved in elections, and Utah has done an incredible job with mail-in voting, and I've talked to you about that before with both midterms and the general election. And you've been defensive of it in the sense that you felt like it was secure and that they were doing a good job. I'm not getting to my question very quickly here, but there's some movement on the Hill. We talked to a legislator who wants to change mail-in voting to require that an individual really not mail it in anymore. They have to actually go to a drop-off point and produce identification. But that's, just to me personally, it seems like that's trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist. To me, we do a pretty good job with mail-in voting, don't we?
We do, and the reason that we do is because we did it slowly. We allowed counties more than a dozen years ago to begin opting in. And this was really at the request of rural counties. They are the ones that came to the state legislature and said, will you please let us do vote by mail? And we allowed the state legislature allowed them to opt in to do it. My county, Utah County, was the last one to finally opt into doing vote by mail. So by 2020, when the pandemic hit, all of our counties had already been doing it. We'd worked out many of the bugs. People loved it. They understood it. They were comfortable with it, which is why I feel like it was so different in Utah than maybe in some other states that hurried in the middle of a pandemic and changed all their laws and did it on the fly. But it is secure, and we have been working every single year since I have been lieutenant governor. There have been dozens and dozens of election bills to, and many of them we have supported. We've worked very hard with the legislature. Many of them codified the practices that we were already doing, the changes that we had been making to bolster and strengthen our system, which is good to codify those things because you never know what the next lieutenant governor, would do. But this proposal, I mean, it's a policy discussion worth having, but this proposal may not change things very much for certain voters. Many voters use drop boxes, but it would definitely be a significant change for the county clerks to have to staff that. I mean, it would be very expensive, very different than what we do now, and I think that it wouldn't provide any additional security to what we already do.
We're going to go to break, but if you can stick around, I just have one more question for you when we come back.
Sure.
Thanks.
If you've ever set New Year's resolutions before, you know how difficult it is to follow through because you have to wait to see the results. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and in honor of your New Year, New You resolutions, Any Hour Services is having our New Year, New System sale. From now until the end of February, Any Hour Services will give you $2,026 off a new furnace and air conditioner. And you don't have to wait to save the money. You get $2,026 off at the time of purchase. The only thing you have to do to qualify for our New Year, New System sale is call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. When you call, there's no obligation to buy. Just schedule a time to meet that works best for you. Let me say that again. From now until the end of February, when you have Any Hour Services install a new furnace and air conditioner, we'll give you $2,026 off. Call Any Hour Services right now and schedule a free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word INBOX to 57500. That's INBOX to 57500.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side, your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed, plus free premium delivery with any bed and base. Ends Monday. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
At the UPS store, we know being a small business owner means holiday time is still go time. Still get those orders shipped time. And still re-up on stamps and supplies time. That's why this upcoming holiday, while others close up shop, we'll be open. And happy to help you keep being unstoppable. Come into your local store today. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, pricing, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS store. Be unstoppable.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and they watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror. I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness,
that
is something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, ANDcollar.com.
Mortgage interest rates are at their lowest point in nearly 2 years. So why go to a bank or credit union when you can go to Loans by Rick? Rick has been doing mortgage loans for 25 years, and many customers go to Loans by Rick after shopping banks and credit unions to get a lower interest rate and lower closing costs. Whether you're buying a home or refinancing, call 801-809-SAVE or click loansbyrick.com. Rick Kirschenbaum, NMLS 241179, and Vintage Lending, NMLS 287106. Equal Opportunity Lender.
The Salt Lake Chamber is Utah's voice for business. Okay, that sounds great, but what does it really mean? Well, as Utah's largest and longest standing business association, they support and champion community prosperity throughout the state. And if you're in business, well, that's a very good thing for you. Be sure to listen to the Chamber's Speaking on Business, weekdays at 7:20, 11:55, and 5:20 p.m. on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2026, special coverage on Inside Sources.
And we are back on the Hill, and we are back with Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, who was kind enough to stick around for another question or two. I know Holly was not quite ready to let you go.
I actually want to ask you a question about the National Save America Act that just passed the House. I know it's got an uphill battle in the U.S. Senate, but my question is, how is this going to impact Utah elections, especially because they want to make it apply to the 2026 elections, which are really already in process?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest concerns that secretaries of state have about that particular piece of legislation. Now, I say secretaries of state, they're usually the chief election officers in the state. I am the chief election officer of the state of Utah. So I include myself in that group. We are concerned, not because we oppose voter ID. Our states already have voter ID. Most states do. We already do citizenship checks for our voters. That's not the problem. The problem is really technical in nature, largely. And you're right. This is effective immediately upon the signature of the president. And in the middle of an election year, it's going to be problematic. And I'll just lay out a couple of problems. The ID, the real ID that is required to register to vote under this bill is not the same kind of real ID that the state of Utah uses. So I don't know if everybody remembers years ago when we moved to real ID, every time you had to go re-up your driver's license, remember we had to dig up our marriage licenses and all of that and go take it to the driver's license division to get our new real ID, which then now that our DLD can confirm whether or not a person is a citizen,
right,
because of all of that work we did. Well, our driver's licenses don't say citizen or non-citizen on the actual card. Some states do. 5 states do. And they're Washington, New York, Minnesota, Michigan, and Vermont. Those are the only 5 states in the United States that actually use a driver's license that say citizen or non-citizen on the card. And those are the only ones that can be used to register to vote. So now in Utah, people will have to do it all over again with their driver's license and go find their birth certificates and their marriage licenses and all of the things that they've already done. And so that's really problematic. And to have it be in the middle of an election year is challenging. And also, federalism. I thought we believed in federalism, but we'll see what happens.
States' rights, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We know you've got to run to another meeting, but we've been speaking with Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, and we're going to pivot and we're going to speak with Representative Melissa Garf-Ballard. So stay with us. We're just making this really quick change. Anyway, thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. That was great. So really interesting discussion, right? And we're on the Hill in recognizing, I think, women's suffrage, the role that Utah played not only locally, of course, for our state and our territory, but nationally.
And you and I are wearing purple and purple flowers, and our guest is wearing purple. This is wonderful.
So the flowers have been provided to us by Flower Patch.
Yep.
And they're really beautiful, but the suffrage colors are gold or yellow and purple and white. And so we have Representative here with everything, all the colors, and I have purple and you have purple.
There we go.
All right, welcome to our show, Representative Ballard. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having us on this wonderful celebratory day.
It is. Look, we've been asking all of our guests so far, what got you involved in politics?
Actually, my dad was this former Speaker of the House, and I'm the 5th person in my family to be in the House of Representatives here in Utah. So I had an ancestor that was in the very first legislative session, Dan Heiner, and then I've also had my great-grandfather, Royal Brigham Garf, and his sister, Thelma Garf. So, and then my dad, Robert Garf. So when I was growing up, I heard the voting bell, was walking the house and the rooms of the Capitol and just came to love it. But I also saw a lot of women. At the time, Aline Walker was there. There were a lot of women legislators. So when the opportunity came for me to run, it was not why me, it was why not me. And it was a great time in my life to be able to step forward.
That's
you
awesome.
probably had the opportunity to work on other people's elections then before you jumped in. But jumping in as a woman running for office, that had to take it to the next level in terms of a little bit more pressure, maybe a little bit more work.
I think women are hard workers. I never considered it because I'm a woman, therefore I need to do different things. I just knew how to work. And I think because of our family's really culture of saying what else can I do to make my state, my community better, has always just been a priority. So it's actually great right now. We have 24 women in the House of Representatives, which is 32%. And in the House chambers, we have a picture of Seraph Young voting with a heart on her ballot. And I love the picture because the mayor is looking away in disdain. And behind Seraph are 3 women representing the Relief Society of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And then, of course, up the stairs are women from the Relief Society again when the women's right to vote returned upon our statehood, of them looking down saying thank you for paving the way. And I'm proud to be a Utah female politician. I think we lead the way in so many different policy making choices and balance. I'm actually the only female Republican on the House Business and Labor Committee. So as we were discussing licensure for cosmetology or speech language pathology, I have a voice that's really important. And also I love being on the criminal justice appropriations and also standing committees. I just think we, as representing the families and individuals that are the support systems and the end users of all things, right? That's what I consider myself as.
I have a specific question about a specific bill of yours.
Yes.
So it's super interesting to me, and it is underage marriage amendments. Will you please tell us about that bill?
Yeah, right now it is in our code that you cannot marry a minor unless you're less than 4 years apart, or 16, 17-year-olds have to come before the court. But there's actually no felony associated with it. So now it's a third-degree felony if you marry a minor outside of our laws. It's a third-degree felony if you transport a Utah minor out of the state to marry them. It's a third-degree felony if you transport a minor for someone else to marry them, or if you are the one conducting the marriage. So I think I think that just says it's important for Utah. As I said on the Criminal Justice Standing Committee, we see child trafficking, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, crimes against children. And this is just one more tool that says we love our children, and working with the investigators in the Attorney General's office, this is a hole that exists in our current law. And so I'm really proud of that legislation that has really gone through unanimously through our system.
So the age would then would remain at 16, but the parties have to be within 4 years of each other's age?
That already exists in Utah code.
But then
that's relatively recent, though.
What this does is criminalize it if someone violates that.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought there was something that, maybe I'm wrong, that allowed or provided or maybe required that there be parental consent to some.
Yeah, that already exists for those 16 and 17-year-olds. Their parent has to come and give consent in front of the judge, but it is also a third-degree felony if they do that, if they claim to be a parent or guardian. They're really not. So that's a problem. So.
Is there another bill that you're particularly passionate about this year, this session?
Yes. In talking about families and supporting that, HB 210 is marriage tax penalties. We, right now, in our Utah code, have a lot of penalties if you get married. So the Kempsey Gardner Institute did a report on Utah tax penalties, and that's really the base of this legislation. It takes all 4 of Utah tax code, which is taxpayer tax credit, the child tax credit, Social Security tax credit, retirement tax credit, and equalizes everybody instead of penalizing them because of their marital status. So if you're single with kids as head of household, if you're married and filing separately, then you're all at the same threshold. And if you're married filing jointly, then you're just double that because you're two people. And so this does not change all the welfare benefits. There's actually 72 welfare benefits that the federal government provides, whether it's CHIP, SNAP, breakfast, lunch programs, and so forth. It doesn't change any of the credits that the federal tax credits give. This is just the Utah portion, and in doing so it creates a marriage tax credit to help offset this. So this bill is really revenue neutral. We did that on purpose, and so I'm really excited. It is time for us to support marriage, to support the family, and where we as legislators can really boost the family as this is equalized is to say, if you are head of household, which means single with children, or if you're married with children, it doesn't matter to me. To boost the child tax credit is boosting anyone who is needing extra support to raise their family, and that is a priority for Utahns.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. That was Representative Melissa Garf-Ballard on some of her great bills that she's running this session. When we come back, we'll be talking with Senator Luz Escamilla. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, police in Price had a surprise when a traffic stop resulted in confiscating packages of what looked like fruit snacks. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Price City Police posted on their Facebook page yesterday evening saying the Carbon Metro Drug Task Force had stopped a vehicle last week and discovered what looked like packages of fruit snacks. The berry-flavored Mott's fruit snacks had been previously opened, filled with meth, then heat-sealed closed, making the packaging look completely normal again.
We are working to get more details, and we'll keep you updated. Our top national story this hour, major changes are taking place right now in the immigration crackdown in Minnesota. ABC's Karen Travers has the update.
President Trump's border czar Tom Homan announced Thursday the administration's surge of law enforcement in Minnesota has ended and agents will now begin leaving the state. Homan claiming Minnesota is now, quote, less of a sanctuary state for criminals.
I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude. A significant drawdown has already been underway this week and will continue through the next week.
Homan was sent to Minneapolis last month following the fatal shooting of Alex Preddy, and as the administration was facing mounting pressure for its aggressive tactics on immigration enforcement. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Your money at this moment, the markets are headed down this morning. The Dow is now off 1 2/10%, down 583 points. We're at 49,531. The NASDAQ is down 1 7/10%. Coming up, rain off and on today, snow in the mountains. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
When Team USA is on, you can almost see the moment a kid starts believing they could be next. Now, while Xfinity can't guarantee that, they can guarantee something just as important, that your internet price won't change for 5 years. No contracts or commitments. So while your kid is ordering gear online, streaming highlight reels, or video chatting, your Xfinity internet price won't budge. And who knows, by the time the next Olympic Winter Games roll around, your kid could be getting fitted for their very own Team USA uniform. And guess what? You'll still be paying the same price for reliable Wi-Fi. And there's even more to enjoy with the Xfinity Gold Medal Celebration. Now through February 22nd, get their best price on gig Wi-Fi for 5 years guaranteed. Just $50 a month, plus get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. That's a $10.99 monthly value. Xfinity. Imagine that. Proud partner of Team USA. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Actual speeds vary.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only. Friday through Sunday, 2 locations, Salt Lake City and Hurricane. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. Utah State Fair Park and Washington County Fair Legacy Park. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Utah State Fair Park. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Washington County Fair Legacy Park. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Starting price is too low to advertise. 2 locations, Salt Lake City and Hurricane. Utah State Fair Park and Washington County Fair Legacy Park. Deep discounts. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. 2 locations, Salt Lake City and Hurricane. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpa.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Up to $500 for loan transfers. Love where you bank. And back to you, Jason.
Amanda, we have an accident. This is a northbound I-15. It's going to be at the University Parkway off-ramp. Well, it's blocked the off-ramp and the right lane there, so pretty much it's just kind of a mess if you're headed northbound there. And delays are stretching back all the way to Provo at this point. So it's going to take you some extra time to get through that this morning. Once you're past that, you're good to go the rest of the way on I-15. In fact, we see no other trouble on I-15. The major feeders are looking good. The only other side street that's got any problem at all, any kind of backing, is on Pioneer Crossing. And the rest of your highways and side streets, they're all moving at regular speeds. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
We will have a few more passing showers throughout the day, fading out tonight. Then it dries out for the weekend. Temperatures get back into the mid to upper 50s. And then the next chance for a storm arrives on Tuesday. Right now it's cloudy and 45 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
And this day in the history of the Winter Games on Inside Sources, brought to you by America First Credit Union. What have we got today, Holly?
So on this day in history, which is February 12th, in 1932, the world champion figure skating pair were actually a husband and wife team. They were French, and they earned their second consecutive Winter Games pair figure skating gold medal at the Lake Placid Games, so 1932. Also on this day in 2014, there was a Russian couple who won gold in pairs figure skating. And in 2018, American snowboarder Jamie Anderson retained her slope style title at the Pyeongchang Winter Games, way ahead of Canada's Lori Bluin.
It's you know, you look at these figure skaters and look at how much time they spend working together, how much time they spend practicing. It's no wonder that a lot of them become partners in life.
It would seem like that to me, right? I mean, it would seem like that to me. So this day in history of the Winter Games is brought to you by America First Credit Union. Helping your money do more has never been easier. Just head to americafirst.com and open a high-yield certificate today. While we've been up here on the Hill, we've had an opportunity to talk with already several well, let's see. Only one legislator so far. We also talked with the lieutenant governor and we talked with the state auditor. Right. And they're both statewide offices, elected offices. So we're on the Hill. You can hear some background noise up here because there are there's always something going on in the rotunda. We've got, I think it's high school arts on the Hill day. There's a bunch of high school students who are out there. And then, of course, there's legislative meetings that are going on right now. And we're waiting for Minority Leader in the Senate, Luz Escamilla, to come join us, but I know that she was presenting bills in committee this morning.
And we're celebrating a fun anniversary today, too, because on this day in 70, our territorial governor, before we were even a state, signed a law that allowed for women to vote. And 2 days later, the first woman voted.
That is right. That is right.
On
So,
Valentine's
so we claim the title nationally to be the first state where a woman cast a vote under a universal suffrage law. So we have with us Senator Luz Escamilla. Thanks for joining us. I know you're super busy.
Good morning. I was running from committee, so
I know. I know you're presenting a bill that I'm actually really interested in today. But you know, we've been asking all of our guests this morning, what got you involved in politics?
Children.
Okay.
I mean, which actually fits with all my policies, and I thought, I mean, I was convinced there was a need for specific voices of working moms and the regular pieces that our kiddos have to go through every day. So it was children, a lot of areas related to IEPs. I mean, that's how I started working in community issues, and that was advocacy for kids.
Can you remind me, what year were you first elected?
2008.
Okay.
So 18 sessions.
Okay, wow.
And yeah, David Hinkins, Senator Hinkins, and myself were the ones that came into the Senate. You know, others have come from the House, and, you know, we have a mix of years, but we're the longest serving now senators that started in 2008.
You haven't been shy at all about proposing legislation and being active. And as a Democrat and as a woman, you're certainly in the minority in two different categories. But you seem to have a lot of clout with the legislature. It seems like you're just one of the people up here.
You know, and I appreciate that. I think what I've learned is for Utah, it's about building relationships. I think it's pretty unique compared to other legislatures around the country. I respect that. In the minority, we feel sometimes really isolated and almost like there's no hope. But I'm very persistent. And if I've learned something, I think people get to respect when you're consistent in your message, but when you also make changes and learn to bring consensus. I mean, I don't get everything I want, but I've learned that if I work with people that sometimes they want the same thing, they just have a different way of getting there, that we can get good public policy in place.
What would you say to young women today that talk to you about getting into politics? I mean, a young college woman just talking to you and say, you know, Senator Escamilla, I'm thinking about jumping in or running. Would you encourage it?
Yes, I do now say that a lot of more disclaimers than I used to do before. This is a different territory now, and I think you know this because we've served together. It's 180. I mean, there's a lot of more hate, unfortunately. Social media has helped, but also created a lot of challenges for anyone to be on the spotlight, because now it amplifies to millions of people within minutes and no sense of context. So I always tell, especially women, you have to be there's more aggressiveness and even like assault and stuff like that for women than men in politics. So you have to be just very protective of that. And be very clear with your loved ones, because they will be dragged, unfortunately. So, but I always tell people, if your gut feeling is this is a time or this is an issue I have to be there for, you need to do it. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. I mean, if you feel that strong, then you're ready.
I want to ask you about some of the bills. In fact, we don't even have a ton of time. So, what's one of the things that you're working on this session that you're particularly passionate about?
Child welfare.
Okay.
I mean, the bill that will give another tool to prevent a case like the Gavin Peterson fatality homicide that was so horrendous. We need to change that. And it's in the hands of the state of Utah right now in the legislature to provide that extra tool to see killed children. We need to see them. Their isolation is what's making now child abuse very sophisticated. We need to see eyes on the kids to make sure they're safe.
So can you tell me about that bill, because I'm not really familiar with that one.
SB 124,
okay.
And that is what we're doing is providing an extra tool for a judiciary investigatory warrant. So DCFS, or if needed, peace officers can come in to at least see the child. This is not removal. We're not trying to take anyone away from anyone. Like, we just want to make sure the kid is okay. And we're seeing in the audit that came out from DCFS that this gap of actually reviewing whether the child was safe or not, in some cases for like never happening, is because they don't get access to the child. We need to make sure there's enough tools to get them. I'm not saying to use it every time and for everything, but it should be at the hands available when needed.
And in this bill, it would allow, Senator, that these caseworkers would have the authority of a court to go in and
Correct.
See, and at least, just like you say, just to get eyes on, just to make sure
eyes
that everything's
on the
okay.
child, and it will be through the judiciary. So this
Right.
is all branches of government are review, and it will not be for removal, just to see that the child is okay. And you have to actually have a real threat. I mean, and we describe through and harm. there's all of that will be defined in statute, which I feel confident it's a good balance. But we can't have more of those cases. Children, they're the most vulnerable communities. We need to protect our kids.
And it would be authorized by a court then?
Correct. Yes, authorized by a court.
Yeah. Good luck on that one. That one
Thank
sounds
you.
like that
Yes,
would be
please.
a good idea.
How did your school nutrition bill go?
It passed.
Okay.
I love
That's
it.
awesome.
I'm
Can
so
you
excited.
just briefly summarize what this does? Because I love that one too.
So we moved to 200% of poverty level, so from 185 to 200%, which is give or take $64,000 for a family of 4.
Okay.
And we will be giving it's K-6 grade. And what we do is we're using different funding mechanisms to get us there, but it passed, so I'm excited.
Okay. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Senator
you so
Luz
much.
Escamilla, minority leader in the Utah Senate. Stay with us. When we come back after the break, Representative Ryan Wilcox is going to join us.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. I was asked to coach a senior leader who was described by his colleagues as being aloof and difficult. As I observed, I noted that he rarely listened. Without fully understanding, he would then offer thick, layered advice. This is what I did. I put a timer on his desk and said, for the first 10 minutes of any meeting, you cannot do anything but ask questions. But they cannot be questions disguised as advice. They must be non-prescriptive questions like, say more about that. How do you feel about that? What did you think about that? The turnaround was amazing. I can't believe what I've been missing, he told me. My colleagues are much smarter than I understood. My job is to give them confidence, not answers. Learn more about non-prescriptive questions with an MBA from Utah State. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
Mom and Dad used to argue about everything, especially about Dad's drinking. It drove me crazy. It got so bad, I couldn't do my homework. I couldn't concentrate. I absolutely refused to let any of my friends come to our house for any reason. I would have been humiliated if anyone found out how much my dad drank and how loud my mom screamed at him. My family went from totally crazy to quiet, calm, and even peaceful. The only thing that happened is my mom started going to Al-Anon family groups. Her relationship with my dad really changed. I asked Mom if she would take me to her Al-Anon meetings or to Alateen. I wanted to see if I could have a better relationship with my dad. I'm sure glad I did. If someone's drinking troubling you, you might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-ALANON or go to alanon.org.
Higher taxes, soaring inflation, record low interest rates, and the skyrocketing cost of healthcare. The list goes on. Retiring successfully today is a lot more complicated than ever before. Learn how you can tackle the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement today. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio. It's this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL, News Radio 1027.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you spend half your day walking or standing while working? If you have foot, knee, or back problems, the Good Feet store wants to help you like we help Tony.
Pain that I experience the most is foot pain from being on my feet all day. You're having to kind of talk to yourself through the whole shift, like, I got this, I can do this. Before, I felt defeated, and now it's like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. A whole new life, like sunshine coming on.
And how about working more comfortably, like Dennis?
Working at an amusement park, it's always on your feet. I just couldn't take it, but I didn't have a choice. I just couldn't believe that putting these arch supports in made that much of a difference that quickly. I could do my job and I could take care of my family. I know what my tomorrow is going to be. It's going to be positive.
You deserve a better life too. Stop in the Good Feet store today. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
At the UPS store, we know being a small business owner means holiday time is still go time.
still get those orders shipped time, and still re-up on stamps and supplies time. That's why this upcoming holiday, while others close up shop, we'll be open and happy to help you keep being unstoppable. Come into your local store today. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, pricing, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable.
Are you stuck staring at your W-2? Are tax refund worries holding you back? You probably have FOMO, the fear of messing up. The fix? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. It's time to overcome your fear of messing up and get your taxes done right. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
We're back on the Hill. In fact, we're in the auditor's office on the Hill. We've had a lot of guests coming in, and it's fun because, Holly, we've got this sort of open doorway in front of us, and the people are walking by, and now we're getting requests to be on our show. Hey, can I be on your show? So we'll have to sign that up for
I
another
did
day.
have to ask, was that just the high school students? They're like, no, legislators are looking and saying, hey, we want to do that.
Hey, can we be on? Yeah, well, snooze you lose, because we've been trying to get people on.
That's right.
And you get people to call you back, and some don't.
So there's a couple of reasons we're on the Hill right now, and one of them is we're about at the halfway point. We just barely passed the halfway point in Utah's legislative session, and so we wanted an update on that. And I think I told you yesterday we're over 900 bills now introduced. So I think the number is so crazy for halfway through. But it also is in recognition of Utah's position in the women's suffrage movement, giving women the right to vote. So we passed a law, we, meaning the territory of Utah in 1870, passed a universal suffrage law on February 12th, so that was today. And then 2 days later, Seraph Young, on her way to work, dropped a ballot in a drop box just down the hill from where we are right now and cast her vote. And, you know, she's buried in Arlington National Cemetery, and it's not because of her casting a vote. It really is because of who she married later. She married Seth Ford in 1872, and then he was a veteran, and so he's buried, and she's buried there as well with him. But we mentioned, Representative Ballard, when she was in with us, mentioned that we had the vote, lost the vote, and got the vote, and that is true. So women had the vote in Utah in 1870, and then we lost the vote.
Yeah, and then it came back. So I didn't realize this because I was thinking 19th Amendment.
Right.
Passed in 1920, and at least ratified in 1920, and that's when women got to vote. But then you're talking about somebody who voted here in Utah 50 years earlier.
That's right. So when we lost the right to vote, it was the Edmunds-Tucker Act that did away with polygamy. It made polygamy illegal, but it also took away women's right to vote in the territory. So when Utah then applied for statehood in 1896, one of the things that the Constitutional Convention in Utah voted on unanimously was to include women's suffrage. So we still had it before the rest of the nation because that became part of Utah's constitution. So women have had the right to vote in Utah since the institution of the state.
So that's what I was wondering. So there was a time when nationally they couldn't. So did women in Utah not vote on national elections?
Yeah, I think that's the way it worked, right? But they could vote in municipal elections, and it was after Utah became a state that they could run in elections as well, and that's where we got Martha Hughes Cannon, who became the first the first female senator to be elected to a state senate.
And her statue is in the
It's in Statuary Hall, actually. It's in the Visitor Center. Yep, and it's been there since early December of last year. I was out for that, and that was a lot of fun to see her.
I'll tell you what's been refreshing is just sitting here and watching the people go by, and especially those that are working there. There are a lot of women here on the Hill. There are a lot of people up here on the Hill who are women that are bustling and running around, and they're not just carrying somebody's briefcase. They're the ones that are having the briefcase carried for them.
So there are women legislators. There are women who are legislative drafting attorneys. There are women who are lobbyists. There are women who are interns. It really is fun, and it's fun to see that grow as well. So Representative Ballard said, I think there's 32% now in the House. That's more than when I was in there.
Yeah.
So it's really fun. We have with us in studio Representative Ryan Wilcox, running over from, I'm sure, presenting a bill. But thanks for joining us, Representative.
Yeah, good to be with you as always.
You can't even catch your breath before we're going to jump right in.
No worries.
You were just back in D.C., and that's really interesting because it would be unusual for a representative to leave during the legislative session, but this was an issue that's really important to you. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I literally presented a bill in committee in the Senate Monday afternoon, and then my intrepid intern dropped me off at the airport. I landed about midnight, got to the hotel at 1 a.m., and then first thing in the morning, all day on the Hill in D.C. And I did that because it's directly connected to all of our work with the School Security Task Force. We were able to launch the National School Security Bill on Tuesday in D.C., and this has been years in the making, one of those, that's the day, okay, I'll be there.
right, exactly.
one of those moments. And I can't tell you, it was a highlight of my legislative life to be able not just to get the bill launched and to have Burgess take such a public and prominent role in helping to get that done, Congressman Owens, but to be able to go in and out of those offices afterward, now that they know that it's launched. We've launched a National School Security Caucus. It's functioning. It's bipartisan. From Texas to Florida to New York. We secured my last meeting of the day, and this was crazy fun. We secured a Senate sponsor.
Wow.
In Senator Rick Scott out of Florida, who's the governor during the Parkland disaster down there. And, Senator Scott, I've been in meetings with him before. I've worked with a lot of these folks, but this was different for him. And I'm sure it's colored by his experience. I was there with some of the parents from that disaster in his office, but oftentimes, and you'll know this, there's the formal meeting when you're in a congressional office, and it's kind of pro forma. Everybody kind of knows what's going to happen, and you meet with the staff, and then the principal comes in, and you have the conversation, and then it's over, and maybe you get a picture or something. The difference with this one was Senator Scott stuck around for another 10 minutes after, just with us on strategy. How do we actually get this to happen? And so we haven't announced any of the things we agreed to yet, but when they move from listening to your pitch to not only understanding why we're doing it, why it's so important, to this is how we're going to accomplish this in the Senate. And you're going to talk to this guy, and I'm going to talk to this one, and I think this should be my co-sponsor on the Dem side, and, that kind of stuff, it's different. Yeah. That's not a normal meeting.
Talk to us about the federal legislation. And we obviously have school shootings. We have things that are going on nationally. We just had something in Canada. I know that's a different topic. But talk to us about what happened when you went back to D.C.
Yeah, I mean, the central feature of this, it's called Alyssa's Act, and really modeled after Alyssa's Law that we passed here, 2 years ago now. We've now passed the state-level version in 10 states. We're looking at 16 more where it's been introduced. And the core feature of that is, model response in an emergency. But the larger bill, the larger picture is far more than response. It's the comprehensive package. And this is going to take, we're using all of the easiest pieces to get on a bipartisan basis. And that's why it was so important that we launched with Maskowitz from down in Florida, and he represents Parkland and is also a prominent Democrat. And, I was in offices in Pennsylvania after what they've gone through yesterday. But it includes, of course, the model response, but also a data element in making sure that we understand, how these things happen, why they happen, and provide some accountability for parents. We included that in our bill from 2 years ago. We've worked with Safe Schools for Alex on that piece, but very soon, if not already, if you go to the go to the public site, we're going to be able to sort through and look at your actual school. Like in every district in the state of Utah, you're going to be able to go down and look at the safety data for yourself and, have some confidence in, or it'll also raise the flag when we're not dealing with, shootings that weren't reported or, violent other issues that happen. So there's a lot of parts.
Is this a collaboration between law enforcement and the schools? Because when you're talking about response, what I think of is what we just dealt with at Uvalde when we talked about an officer who may or may not have responded appropriately. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, is that part of the equation?
So model response is, and of course we've been addressing that specifically here. There's no one more disappointed in when law enforcement doesn't follow their own training than law enforcement itself. So that's frankly how ours started. It was after the Uvalde disaster here. We started asking those questions. I had all sorts of questions from parents and, being sent in. And I asked that question of DPS, like, how prepared are we? And the answer really was, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on where your kid happens to go to school, if that superintendent took it seriously, if that school board took it seriously. And even in the same school district, and I approached mine at the time, we were dealing with some schools that had been built in literally the 1950s, some of the 1930s, right, with, 18 different entrances. And just nobody thought at all about what safe design looked like. And then you have new schools half a mile away in the same district where there's a secure vestibule just by design. And, there's a natural flow and, barriers that are just kind of built into that to prevent some of that, and modern communication systems that actually work. So a lot of what we've tried to do and that this requires nationwide is really lifting that minimum standard. So we don't have a massive disparity. It's not that we don't want higher standards, and none of this should be looked at as this is the panacea, this is everything we want. Sometimes I hear that, I'm like, oh, no. If I was doing everything I wanted, I would never have to worry, right? This would never, ever happen again. But no, this should be looked at as the minimum standard for basic school safety in Utah and across the country. And we're making a lot of progress now. And the work that we've done in Utah is not only being replicated across other states. The White House is looking forward, like the hope is, and you never want to prognosticate too much in D.C., but the expectation is that this is completely bipartisan. We have not just support, but vocal advocates all over the political spectrum who understand we just need to get it done, and that needs to be the standard. And we allow states to go higher if they like to do that. There's a lot more flexibility there from a federalism perspective, but the president could have this on his desk as soon as September.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Thanks so much for joining us today. That was Representative Rand Wilcox talking about taking our school safety from Utah nationally. When we come back after the break, we'll be joined by Representative Ashley Matthews.
1031 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story, a chiropractor in Cache County, already facing sexual abuse accusations, is now facing dozens of new charges. More women have come forward accusing Evan Lefevre of abuse. The Cache Valley Daily reports Lefevre was arrested Wednesday night at his home after 30 new charges were filed. Our top national story this hour, a Ukrainian athlete's commentary on Russia's attack on his country has gotten him disqualified from the Winter Games.
Because skeleton rider Vladislav Haraskevich insisted on wearing a helmet featuring the images of fellow Ukrainian athletes killed in the war with Russia, Mark Adams of the International Olympic Committee announced,
regretfully, he will not start and will not compete.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has criticized the IOC decision and praised Haraskevich, saying, quote, having courage is worth more than any medal. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Zion National Park is announcing its seasonal lottery dates for Angel's Landing. The first one is for spring, and it opens tomorrow. The park gets an average of 5 million visitors a year. The application is available at recreation.gov. Your money at this moment. The Dow now down 599 points. That's almost 1.25%. We're at 49,514. Coming up, a few more showers before a nice weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:33.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Amanda, one of my favorite things to do when I go to the theater is laugh. Any show, it doesn't matter. So one that's designed to make me laugh from start to finish, boy, that is in my wheelhouse. And that's what we've got with Peter Pan Goes Wrong.
When we went into the theater, I'm not sure what we were expecting, but we started laughing early on. And then I realized, I'm laughing that big, loud, obnoxious laugh of mine. But mine wasn't the loudest laugh in the theater. We were all laughing, and that made it more fun.
But you walk in, it actually takes a second to realize, wait, this is actually funny from the moment the curtain rises, and it makes you laugh all the way to the end.
We need that, Andy. Don't we need that?
Oh, it's so helpful, and it's so fun to do in a group of people. It just makes everything more enjoyable.
This is in the Jewel Box stage, and then in the brand new theater.
We've got more laughs with Hallmarked, a spoof on that brand new stage, a new theater at Hale Center Theater to enjoy.
And you can still get season tickets and enjoy all of the wonderful shows, including Anastasia, to finish out the year at Hale Center Theater.
So you can get tickets by calling the box office at 801-984-9000 or online at hct.org.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side, your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed, plus free premium delivery with any bed and base. Ends Monday. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
At the UPS store, we know being a small business owner means holiday time is still go time. Still get those orders shipped time. And still re-up on stamps and supplies time. That's why this upcoming holiday, while others close up shop, we'll be open. And happy to help you keep being unstoppable. Come into your local store today. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, pricing, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS store. Be unstoppable.
My friend Joey means well.
Always remember that the early bird gathers no moss.
But he gets a little confused.
You know, you can't make a silk purse out of a wooden nickel.
Like Joey, many of us can be confused when it comes time to plan for retirement. When to take Social Security, how to use that 401k, what about the stock market, taxes, and Medicare? Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management can help to simplify retirement planning. His goal is to have you walk into retirement with confidence, not worry, and to address the number one concern among retirees today, the fear of running out of money. Call Galileo Wealth today for a no-cost, no-obligation meeting to talk about the details of your retirement. 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online, GalileoWealth.com. And remember,
one man's trash is thicker than water. Of course, water's not thick at all, it's watery.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.44% on savings at UCCU.com. Back to you, Jason.
And we still see this accident northbound on I-15 approaching the University Parkway off-ramp. The right lane is blocked. The on-ramp is, the off-ramp is actually open, so you can actually get off at University Parkway. But right before that is where the accident is. It's got some pretty decent delays, stretch all the way back to Provo at this point. Now, you're going to want to stick over to the left because, as I said before, the right lane is blocked, and that's where you're going to run into trouble if you stay over there to the left. Now, over to the right, sorry. And then once you get past that, you're going to be good the rest of the way on I-15 into downtown Salt Lake City. Likewise, no problems southbound coming out of Weber and Davis counties. Those are all looking good. No other major problems on your highways or side streets. Step aboard history, walk through recreations, see real artifacts, and feel the legacy of Titanic, the exhibition. Open now at the shops at Southtown in Sandy. Tickets at thetitanicexhibition.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Highs today around 51. There will be some scattered showers into this evening. Then we dry out for the weekend. Our next storm looks to arrive on Tuesday. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 46 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
And we're back on Inside Sources. And Holly, I don't get up to the Capitol very often, especially during the legislative session for obvious reasons. But we're in the state auditor's office, and this place is going nuts. I mean, it's very busy. There are kids,
Very busy.
a lot of like field trips. It looks like, and people running around, and legislators and mucky mucks. It's I don't know. I like it. I like this.
Tell them not to listen to that part.
Yeah.
The mucky mucks. Yeah, it is really fun. It's fun to be up here, and you're right that there's legislative stuff that's happening. There are displays for legislators, but field trips also continue, right? And one of the things that's fun, and I haven't seen one yet today, but you'll sometimes have brides up here. It's the middle of the legislative session. Right. They're up here to take pictures in their wedding dresses, and you can have. In fact, my granddaughter just did a dance up here at the Capitol and did a bunch of pictures and things. So there's regular life continues too, even during the legislative session.
We've had a lot of legislators here and walking by. What is happening today? Do you think there are committee meetings? Do you think they're taking votes today?
Yes, to all of those. But yesterday Yesterday was when they ended the appropriations subcommittee discussions, and so today they started having committees both starting at 8 o'clock in the morning and at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're going to have floor time. So floor time is where the bills that have passed through committee now get discussed by the entire body. So they'll have all of those today, and then that will continue mostly until we get towards the very end of the session, and then they will stop all committee meetings and they'll just have the floor time.
When you have floor time, after, especially when you have 900 bills, I understand committees you can break it down. You have committees you can deal with a lot more. But the floor time, I mean, maybe it's just up to the Speaker or the Senate President to decide what floor time means. But I assume there are rules. Each side can speak or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, how does that debate go down when you're at the floor?
There are, and when they come in from committee, they actually get put on the calendar and they're in order, and you can actually follow. They're called reading calendars, and so they'll move up basically in order that they were placed. And there are exceptions, and you can change the rules and put one on the top, or somebody might be off the floor, and so they have to circle the bill, which just means they're not ready to talk about it right then. But basically, they will go in order, and then what happens is one of the roles of the whip or the assistant whip is to go around, make sure that everybody's ready to present their bill, right? Those types of things. You're not caught off guard. So then the sponsor will stand up and they'll do their little spiel, and it's basically, usually there's a time limit. You'll do your spiel about your bill, and at that point, especially if there's controversy, you will have already lined up other legislators who will talk in favor of your bill, but they'll allow some back and forth. What you see happen as you get towards the end and you get more and more and more bills on the calendar as you start to restrict that time, even on the floor.
I've been to some committees and at least addressed the body, but when you're at the floor, it's just the legislators, right?
It's only the legislators. Nobody can speak on the floor unless you're an elected official.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering about that because I never got to speak to the whole legislature.
Yeah, no, you can be invited to address the legislature for some really special reason, but basically it's only legislators, and especially if you're discussing a bill, it is only the legislators who get to talk about that.
So what are the mechanics of the committees? Because are certain legislators appointed to committees, and that's what they serve on?
All legislators are appointed to multiple committees, and that is what they serve on. And so everybody has at least one appropriations subcommittee that they sit on. Everybody has at least two standing committees that they sit on, and then they're also assigned to interim committees. So they all have assignments, and then they're responsible for reading the bills that come before their committee, to asking questions, all of those things in the committee process. And then when they get to the floor, right, they may or may not weigh in on the bill that they heard in committee.
And there are committee rooms around the building, I guess.
Yeah, there's committee rooms. This is the Rotunda building. There are committee rooms here. There's also committee rooms in the House building, and there's also committee rooms in the Senate building.
And do legislators serve on multiple committees?
Yeah, multiple.
So you have to coordinate time-wise in terms of what
Yeah,
you're doing.
they do, and that's why you see things scheduled. So you may have business and labor for the House in the morning. You will never have Senate business and labor at the same time.
Okay.
Because and it's not because they can't. It's just that they discuss very similar topics, and so it's going to end up going to another. The committee later in the afternoon.
And then do you have some say in the committee's assignment that you want to serve on?
Well, sometimes.
Yeah, okay. I was just wondering about
If you're a freshman, probably not. If you're a more senior legislator, probably so.
Okay.
So we're joined right now by Representative Ashley Matthews. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I have to ask you, baby Joey was last year. I know he was tiny last year. Has he made an appearance this year?
You know, there was one day where we just had I just had a 1 hour long meeting, and so he did stake up with me for that. But lesson learned. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Tell our listeners what you're doing today. You look like you're just coming out of something and
Oh, man.
running around a little bit.
There's always something going on
Yeah.
up here, right? And this place is a zoo today. It's wonderful. I love it. So we have a multitude of things going on for with the Lieutenant Governor's office and just celebrating the suffragettes today. And then we have we're still recovering from our celebrations yesterday for Representative Kara Moss, and then just committee meetings and floor time and, the usual chaos.
No, it's really great. And, we wanted, we only have a minute, but we'll keep you through the break if that's okay.
Sure.
But I wanted to ask you about this bill. It's actually, I know, Senator Pitcher's bill, but this infant to work.
Yes.
Tell us about that bill.
Oh man, I love it. To be honest, I wish I had the idea myself, because I think we've all seen last year especially just the way that just having a baby around just kind of boosts the morale of everybody. But I think for moms that are working, in other spaces after they've come back from 6 weeks being off, it's kind of helpful to kind of taper off and kind of extend that that period before you just get that harsh cutoff and you got to go cold turkey.
And this is state government, right?
Yes.
We're talking about extending a program that was a pilot program and now would be permanently implemented and more broadly.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to ask you a little bit more about that.
Sounds
Thanks
great.
for sticking around.
You bet.
Hi, this is Doug Wright here with another experiment you can try at home regarding water. You can take 4 bags of water softener salt, lift 3 of the bags with one hand and 1 bag with your other hand. Yeah, I know. Now, if you're like most people, you'll probably find that 3 bags of salt weigh about 3 times as much as the 1 bag of salt. And that's an important thing to bear in mind when you're shopping for a water softener. You see, in our home, we have Kinetico, and the Kinetico water softeners are so well designed, they use only 1 bag of salt for every 3 bags that other water softeners use. Now, I can speak to this because we have had a Kinetico soft water system now in 2 different homes, and I'm not a fan of lifting those bags of salt. This is just one of the many reasons you really should look into Kinetico. Their number is 801-576-8600 or go to softwaterutah.com.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
How do they get so excited about 50 yards?
Think of what you could sew with that.
But you need a really great sewing machine, a Bernina.
Get Bernina sewing, serging, and embroidery machines and accessories at fantastic prices. The Bernina Super Weekend Sale.
Don't miss the Dave's Bernina Super Weekend Sale at their Provo and St. George locations. Now until February 14th.
Save hundreds to thousands of dollars on all new Bernina machines.
0% interest for 48 months on certain machines.
Even the most advanced sewing machine in the world, the Bernina 990, is on sale.
Incredible savings on top of the line special event demo machines that come with full 5-year warranties. Take advantage of 20% off Bernina and Burnett presser feet.
Dave's Bernina just received a limited amount of school buybacks in excellent condition with 2-year warranties. With a doorbuster price of $4.99. Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Eye on the Hill 2026 special coverage on Inside Sources.
And we are back with Representative Ashley Matthews, and we are here on a significant day because of what it represents. But what we've been asking our legislators, the female legislators, sort of the same question, which is, what got you into jumping into politics?
Oh, man. Well, like I mentioned, I wish I had a really inspiring story to share. But honestly, it was just I felt like the timing. Well, the timing's never convenient, but just in talking with my neighbors and things like that, there were things that we had hoped could be addressed that kind of needed a mother's touch. As the saying goes, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Yeah.
And so we just figured that having a mom at the table, helping to make decisions that are impacting families, hopefully we could switch conversations to prioritize more about, child care and things that we in my neighborhood were struggling with, and well, gave it a shot, and as it turns out, it worked. So here I am.
All right. Thanks, Representative Matthews. And I think that's a great story. I do want to ask you about one other bill before we let you go, and that is your bill on unspent funding amendments. It's kind of a fancy name, but I don't know what that means. So please educate me.
Oh, I'd be happy to. I'm actually very, very proud of this bill and excited for what we can do. So at the end of every fiscal year, state agencies that have not spent all the money that they've been allowed, that they've been allotted, it just kind of gets swept back into the general fund and recycled for the next year. So what we thought we would do is we would capture half of those funds and put them into a restricted account so that we could focus them more on kind of underfunded and unfunded programs that support kids. So 34% of that fund will go towards child care subsidies. 33% of it will go towards the Behavioral Health Commission so that they can continue to work in their programs supporting our kids. And then the remaining portion would go to the state school board so that schools can apply for grants to get paraeducators to help with interventions in K through 3 so we can get our kids back to reading on grade level and help our kids to be successful in schools. And we kind of thought this would be a responsible way to address a lot of these concerns and support our kids and our families without adding any additional expenses to the taxpayers. And so I'm excited to see it, how it goes out.
That's a number that probably fluctuates every year, right?
Yes.
Because you don't know what's going to be there. But what kind of revenue do you think we'd be talking about normally?
From the numbers that we've kind of been toying around with for the last year, this first pot of money will have approximately $5 million.
Oh, wow.
So so it's not insignificant. We can definitely do a lot of good with that, and
otherwise, historically, it goes back into the general fund.
Correct.
I see.
Yeah, to be spent the next year?
Yep, that's my understanding. And so, I mean, if we're going to spend it on if we've already kind of written it off as something that we've spent, then
Great. Well,
where does this bill sit?
It is actually been assigned to the Government Ops Standing Committee, so hopefully we'll be presenting that and taking a vote on that soon. So
yeah, so I wondered if we could ask you just about your experience being in the House, especially because baby Joey, he's a year and something.
Yep, 16 months.
Okay, so you had him while you were a legislator.
Yes.
What was that experience like for you?
It was wild. My two older boys are, they were already in school full time and pretty self-sufficient. So starting over was its own adventure in and of itself. But it was in an election year, so it was very uncomfortable going out knocking doors. 9 months pregnant, waddling from door to door. But I think if nothing else, I think it just made me more relatable to people. And they're like, oh yeah, I've been that miserable, that 9 months pregnant in the summer too, and it was great. The timing was great, and he was still small enough. He was only 4 months old last session, so that's why it was a little bit easier to sneak him up here without him being too disruptive. And
well, of course, I've seen the cute photographs of you and passing the baby around, right? That everybody loves babies. Everybody loves babies.
It's true.
So
it's true.
Yeah.
Now this is your 5th session. I take it. So tell us, is it any different? Is the mood any different? Because there's certainly a different mood in our country this year.
Yes.
I don't know if that translates to the Utah State Legislature or not.
I think, I've done my best the last 5 years to cultivate relationships and find common ground with everybody, even people that, if I don't disagree generally with their policies, I still try to find something about them that I can agree with and that we can talk about to kind of, Karen Main used to tell me to separate the people from the work. And so that is something that I have really, really tried to focus on is seeing them as people first and as best as I can trying to believe that everybody's there genuinely doing what they believe to be the right thing in their heart of hearts and representing their constituents. And so I may not always agree with their policies, but if they're doing what they think they're supposed to be doing, then I will talk to them about why I don't, my constituents and myself don't necessarily agree, but as the other saying that goes is that politics makes strange bedfellows. And so people that I will adamantly disagree with on one bill, I'll find out that my biggest ally on something else. And so it's just, get up and try again, because you never know. Constantly surprised. So
I would say that too. Politics is all about relationships, right? So don't burn the bridges that you don't need to.
That's right.
Can you remind our listeners what area you represent?
Sure. I represent House District 37, which is predominantly Kearns, with a little bit of Taylorsville and West Jordan.
And as a mother of young children, there's been some talk about having the legislature go from a 45-day session to 3 15-day sessions. Would that make your life more or less difficult?
I
know it's just talk right now, but
I wouldn't be upset about it if we're being honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it would be nice, and it'd be a little bit easier pill to swallow as far as coordinating everybody. If you're just doing it in a couple week, 2 weeks at a time, I think it'd be a smaller burden. I think for the village, right? It takes a village, and I certainly couldn't be up here if I didn't have a support system helping me to make sure that my big boys were getting home from school and everybody's doing homework and dinner and that kind of stuff. So I would love that, but
so it's Representative Ryan Wilcox's bill. It just got published right this week, and so we talked to him about it, and he made that very argument. He's like, it is actually easier to do 2-week chunks than to do 45 days.
Oh yeah, I'm sure my boss would appreciate it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Just taking 2 weeks off here and there instead of I'll see you in 7 weeks, and
Okay, one last question before we let you go. Sure. We've just passed the halfway point. It feels like there's a tremendous number of bills that have been released, but not that many that have actually passed through. What are you feeling about the pace this year?
Oh man, I'm hoping that, slow and steady wins the race and that we can pick up a little bit of momentum. I know that there were a lot of really big, heavy, controversial bills at the beginning, so hopefully we got those speed bumps out of the way and we can just focus on the policies that I think will be a little bit more palatable and that we can all agree on, so we can get them moving through the system and do some good things.
And you'll probably pass 400 bills the last week.
We'll get you back to that now. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us,
You
Representative Matthews.
Thank you.
So we're on the Hill, and this is really fun. It's really fun to be up here. Things are still going. Things are moving. As we've mentioned, we're day 24 of the 45 legislative day session. And we've just, one of the things that we've seen is the need to be flexible because legislators have things that come up, right? And they have to present a bill or they have to stay in the Senate to make a vote. All of those things do happen when you're running on the fly.
You're in grade school and your mom's in the legislature. I think
it's so cool,
Dad.
Right?
I just think that'd be so cool.
Well, I will tell you that that did happen with my kids, and they would, even after I was out of the legislature, we still knew who our representative was. they were embarrassed to raise their hand because every time they'd go to, American history class, whatever it is, local Utah history, people would say, okay, so does anybody know who the president is? Yes, they raise their hand. Anybody know who our senators are? A few people would raise their hand. Anybody know who your local legislator is? And they'd try to raise their hand where nobody could see, and yes, my mom. Right? Or they knew who it was anyway.
Yeah.
So, we actually have Senator Baldry running in right now. We were talking about how sometimes you just get things happen, right? So you had a call of the Senate, it sounds like.
I sure did.
So a call of the Senate means every senator has to show up and has to make a vote. So really quickly, Senator Baldry, thanks for joining us, first of all. Tell us about a bill that you're really passionate about right now.
So I love Senate Bill 90, which is a military crosswalk that helps our veterans who are returning to civilian life to make that transition from their skills and experience in the military to obtaining a job here in the civilian sector. And the number one cause of suicide among veterans is not PTSD. It's up there. It's financial concerns. That's the number one reason. And so this seeks to mitigate this. Some states have taken the low-hanging fruit where they said, okay, if you're a nurse, you can be a nurse. If you're a doctor, you can be a doctor. But no other state besides Pennsylvania has taken this on comprehensively. What we've done is granted DOPL rulemaking authority to translate these skills into license and certificates so they can get to work sooner and not have to spend redundant time and money trying to get to work.
Skills that they learned in the military?
Absolutely. For example,
right, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, we had a guy who was the top dog at an airfield for 7 years. He comes home to this huge aerospace industry in the state of Utah and finds out he has to get a piece of paper that he can only obtain in another state. And it's going to take time and money, and he would have to leave the state to get it, to prove that he knows how to do the job that he already did.
Which he can probably do as well as anybody that's currently working there.
Exactly.
Right.
So is this mostly a licensure bill? Is that what you mean by this crosswalk, taking them from skills they earned in the military and applying them to careers in the state of Utah?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Over 300 different codes. I actually tried to run this my very first year, but it wasn't ready yet because the federal government was in the middle of changing their codes, so we waited till all those were changed.
All right. Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry we have to cut it short. We've got to go to break, but thank you so much. Senator Heidi Baldry.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott, KSL's top story this hour. And it is breaking news. The Jazz's brand new forward season has ended before it really began. Jaren Jackson Jr. was acquired by Utah last week from Memphis, but now the team says he will undergo surgery on his left knee. The operation is preventative, but recovery is about 3 to 4 months. And our top national story this hour from ABC News. Investigators in Tucson are now asking Nancy Guthrie's neighbors for information that could help them in their investigation.
Today, the frantic pace of the investigation from earlier this week seems to have slowed as investigators look for any clue that might break the case. Today, they set up a tent at Guthrie's front door based on equipment. It appears they were taking digital forensic measurements, and then that tent came down. Now, neighbors are being asked if they have any Ring camera video from January 11th and January 31st. A suspicious vehicle may have been seen in the area. And the sheriff telling a local news outlet that 2 gloves have been found about 1.5 miles away from Guthrie's home, but it's unclear if they're connected or just roadside debris. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is down 669 points. The S&P is down 96 points. And coming up, scattered rain. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and they watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt. and sort of check himself out in the mirror. I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because,
Something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these and collar shirts, I can get it out.
Amanda, I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with and collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's and collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried and collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's and collar, andcollar.com.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only. Friday through Sunday, 2 locations, Salt Lake City and Hurricane. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. Utah State Fair Park and Washington County Fair Legacy Park. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Utah State Fair Park. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Washington County Fair Legacy Park. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Starting price is too low to advertise. 2 locations, Salt Lake City and Hurricane. Utah State Fair Park and Washington County Fair Legacy Park. Deep, deep discounts. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. 2 locations, Salt Lake City and Hurricane. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Up to $500 for loan transfers. Love where you bank. Here's Michelle Rowe.
The earlier crash northbound I-15 at University Parkway in Orem, that is cleared. And then a couple of traffic troopers were asking about slowdowns around Center Street in Provo. I-15, not seeing any causes for that, but you're seeing good speeds now. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Scattered rain showers this afternoon with snow in the mountains tomorrow. We have partly cloudy skies and a high of 49 degrees. Right now it is 48 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, we're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
So Inside Sources is actually on the Hill today, and one of the things that's super fun is that so many of us are wearing purple. And that is a color of suffrage. It's
including
purple, gold,
me.
and white, including Greg, who has a purple suit and a purple tie. It's really awesome. And Senator Heidi Baldery has a purple suit also. Looks fantastic. I wonder if you could just really briefly tell us what suffrage means to you.
Thank you. Women's suffrage isn't just history to me. It's a responsibility. The right to vote wasn't just handed to women. They had to fight for it, sacrifice for it, and earn it. And I stand on the shoulders of women who refuse to be silent. Suffrage means more than just having a seat at the table. It means we get to decide what's on the menu. And when women lead, families and communities feel the difference. Scriptures remind us in Esther 4:14, who knows whether you've come to the kingdom for such a time as this. And so I consider this such a great privilege to be here and to do my duty and to make women's voices and issues heard throughout the legislation that we pass here on the Hill.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask you one last question?
Sure.
Why did you decide to run then? It sounds like you have a pretty good foundation. What brought you up here to do what you're doing today?
So, I got started on a very small local issue, but really all government should be local, right? We make issues of all kinds here at the state level, but really it's about what happens at home in our neighborhoods and our communities. So I'm up here representing the very most local government that you can get, and that's why I'm here today.
All right. Thank you so much. That's Senator Baldry, and we are going to switch to Representative Carol Spackman-Moss. So Representative Moss has been on the Hill for quite a while. This is her last legislative session, and her birthday was yesterday. So we want to say happy birthday to Representative Moss. Happy birthday, Representative Moss.
Well, thank you. It was quite a birthday to celebrate up here.
Do you know how many legislative sessions you've attended?
Yeah, this is my 26th. I was honored in the House and the Senate yesterday for being the longest-serving woman legislator in the history of Utah.
Oh, good for you.
How about
That's
that?
wonderful.
That's amazing.
Well, you're the perfect person to have in our studio today.
Yes.
So we're going to start by asking you really one of the questions we've been asking all of our guests today, and that is what got you started in running for office?
Well, it was a phone call from a cousin who was in the legislature, Tricia Snarbeck, and she said, Carol, your legislator is not the best public education advocate. And I had reached a point in my career where I loved teaching English, but I was tired of grading papers, 33 years. So I just thought, why not? And I thought, without a political science background, I didn't know if I could do it, but you know what I learned? That it's all about communication, and being in front of teenagers for 33 years gave me the ability to communicate with lots of different learning styles and personalities and stakeholders like parents and administrators. And I can't think now of a better background to be in politics and to understand how to work with people and how to get things done.
How would you describe the legislature today, especially as a woman, compared to when you started 27 years ago?
Well, there are more women, and I actually jotted down some numbers if you want to know.
Yes, please.
There were a lot of women that came in when I did that year. If you remember, 2001, Pat Jones, Karen Morgan,
right,
and Karen Hale was in, and Patrice Arent was already in. And we had a front page story and there were more Republican women. But for many years, the Democrats had twice as many women in the House as the Republicans. And right now, there are 25 women in the House, 9 are Democrats, and 16 are Republicans. So they've increased their number. But listen to the Senate. There are only 8 women, 5 Democratic women, and 2 Republican. So total, and 1 who's from the third party. A total of 33 women out of 104 legislators. Now, that's not that good.
It's also better than it's been.
It's better than it's been, Holly. You know that. I know.
Yeah.
What does this day mean to you? It's such an important day, and we're all wearing purple, so there's a reason for that.
I know. Well, it's such an important day for women to get the vote. It's hard for me to even imagine there was a time then when we didn't.
Right.
Because women, they're taking care of families. There's so many responsibilities and attending to their kids' schooling and education. And I mean, the fact that they weren't allowed to vote as if they didn't have any knowledge or understanding, and yet they run households. And I just think it's wonderful. I look up at that mural all the time, and when I bring in visitors, I'm so proud to see that Utah was the first, wasn't it?
The first where a woman voted in an election.
Right.
But we also were the first where we just led the country in electing a female senator, right, in the state Senate with Martha Hughes Cannon. I mean, sometimes I feel like we've lost some of that pride in that history, but it's something that's really, I think it's really great.
Mm-hmm. I think it's unfortunate we have 1 woman in Congress now, but we don't have more, and we haven't had more women in Congress.
We've never had a female senator yet from the state of Utah.
It does seem, though, that a lot of there are a lot of groups that are encouraging women to run. I see luncheons, and I see the women lawyers of Utah that are encouraging some of their members to get involved in politics. But does that seem to be working?
Yes, it does. And Pat Jones just retired from her position as Women's Leadership Institute director, and I know hundreds and hundreds of women have been funded through the Women's Democratic Club, which is a very strong club, 400 plus members and growing, give scholarships, and many of them taken that. There's another group called Real Women Run and Mormon Women for Ethical Government and others. So I think there is, and there are more women in professional positions now that I think they see themselves as just as capable and understanding. I didn't know anything about how government, worked. But you come up here and you figure it out quickly. But like I said, it's all about doing your homework and studying and being able to communicate your ideas, and that's what's important. But I do think it's going to be changing, and there are lots more women that are interested in politics now.
That's great. One last question for you. This is your last legislative session. What bill are you working on or particularly passionate about this session?
That I'm
that you're passionate about, whether you're the sponsor or not.
Well, one that I'm a sponsor of is an amendment to a bill that I passed back in 2014 with one of my favorite and best Senate partners, Kurt Bramble, and it was overdose amendments and Good Samaritan law. And we had a situation this year, a month or so ago, where we found out someone in a rural area called for help for her husband, and he was charged. They saved his life, but he was charged with a felony. And the idea of a Good Samaritan law is you call for help, and then the person calling, if they're not going to be charged, and the person you save their life. What's the? I mean, there's not the same incentive.
Discourages people
and
from
so.
calling,
We met with law enforcement and task forces and fentanyl, and so we have an amendment that says on the first time you basically would get a pass if a person is saved, but subsequently, if they'll have to show proof of being in some kind of a treatment program or get in a treatment program, and I think that's valid, but there hasn't been a case that has come up that I know of, and Senator Plum's my Senate sponsor, and her brother died tragically when his friends abandoned him. So I've felt like this Good Samaritan law has saved hundreds, if not thousands, of lives, and so that any bill that really saves lives to me is really critical and important.
Thank you so much for joining us. That's Representative Carol Spackman-Moss in her last session, and we'll be right back after this break.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. Did you know that we offer 3 distinct styles of gutter protection? Each one meant to handle a specific leaf problem. You might not even know there are different styles of gutter protection, but there are. And if you pick the wrong one, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, the big gutter guard companies won't tell you this. They try to sell you a one-size-fits-all gutter guard. And it could be completely wrong for the amount and types of trees and leaves you have. Not RGS Exteriors. We understand which kind of leaf problem needs which kind of gutter guard. We'll do an in-depth evaluation to assess the types, locations, and numbers of trees in your yard. Based on that data, we match your home to the right gutter guard. So don't risk wasting money on the wrong gutter protection. For a free evaluation and estimate, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
Attention Jazz Nation. We know you've been waiting on the edge of your seat, and the time has finally arrived. All tickets are available now. Let's go! Your favorite players will be back on the court, bringing the energy all season long. Whether you're looking for season tickets, mini plans, or single game matchups, there's a perfect option for every kind of fan. Show up loud and proud at Delta Center this season. Don't miss your chance to be part of the action. Buy your tickets today at utahjazz.com.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks VapoStick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks VapoStick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I have some good news for you today. Pay attention, pull over, whatever. American Home Loans has lowered their mortgage rates to only 5.5% on 30-year loans and 4 3/4 for 15 years. Yes, 5.5% fixed. But wait, what if rates go down again? No problem. Once you're a customer with American Home Loans, you don't have to worry about paying closing costs every time you refinance. That's right. Every time rates drop by 0.25% or more, they'll refinance you at no cost to you. Zero, zilch, nada. For details, call 801-262-2221. 262-2221. So now you can purchase a home or refinance at only 5.5% on 30 years and 4 3/4 on 15 years. And then if rates drop later, you can refinance at no cost to you. Call American Home Loans at 801-262-2221. 262-2221 or go to AmericanHomeLoans.com. AmericanHomeLoans.com. NMLS 245422, APR 5.8 30-year and 5% 15-year. Terms and conditions apply.
People think saving money is hard, but really, it's easy. It's as simple as changing a few spending habits. For free tips on how to save the easy way, check out feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
We're back on with Inside Sources. We're on the Hill today, so we're wearing purple, and our next guest is purple and gold and ivory, so all the colors. And we have with us Representative Tiara Axier. You're one of the newer legislators on the Hill. Is this your second session?
It's my second session.
Okay,
yes.
Second session. But I wanted to know, we've been asking everybody who's come in, what made you interested in running for political office?
You know, something that was really interesting to me is that I've been involved on school community councils for a long time. I'm a mom of 4, and I've been very involved in being interested in what they're learning in their curriculum and what's going on in the schools. And so many times, some of my questions would be like, why are we doing this in our schools? And they're like, oh, it's not us, it's coming from the state. And so me and my husband used to joke, and he would say, well, I guess you need to go to the state if you want to make some changes. So when the opportunity presented itself, I decided to go for it. I just feel like I wanted a voice like mine represented, and I didn't know if I had been feeling that way, and I had heard the same thing from other people around me. So
that's great.
What did you think of the campaign experience running for office?
It was something else. And I'm not looking forward to it again this year because our terms are only 2 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm up for re-election again. And, it's a lot, but I think it's important, especially as a member of the House of Representatives. We're the closest to the people, which means we need to be accessible and available for them to be able to talk to us. And I really try to do that and let everyone who needs to talk to me about their issues really inform my decisions. And many of my bills that I'm running came from conversations that I had with people in my district.
I've run for office 3 times. I was going to ask what's it like to win, but I'll spare you that.
It is more fun than losing.
Yeah, I guess so.
I will say that.
I wouldn't know.
I will say that. I do have a question about a couple of your bills. One of them, and I wonder if this is one of the ones that one of your constituents brought to you, but internet on school buses.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about that one?
I can, actually. So as a mom of kids in schools, I've got kids who participate in sports. And in a rural area, most of the time kids have experiences to be involved in almost anything they want just because of the numbers. And so what that means a lot of times is that they're leaving school early, or they're, traveling long distances to go compete, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours in some places in our state. And so by the time they get back home at 10 o'clock, it's time to start homework. And the reason why is when I was a student athlete, my homework consisted of paper and a pencil, and I could do it on the bus. But all of our homework these days is submitted through Chromebooks. And so if our kids can't even start until 10, and I know there's been a lot of conversation the last few years about how important sleep is, especially to high schoolers, this is one way to just support them in a time when they have downtime and they have the brain energy to do it, rather than waiting till really late at night, keeping them up even later when they have to get up early in the mornings.
So what would the bill actually do?
So the bill is going to fund 2 school district buses in each rural school district. And so, 2 buses in each school district for their high schools. And so there can be a boys and a girls sports bus. And it would pay for the cost to install the equipment to be able to have this connectivity, and then also a full year of the expenses. And the only way school districts can apply and be accepted is if they agree to take on the ongoing costs of that, because we don't want to just fund this for 1 year and then not benefit students ongoing. But the cost ongoing is very minimal. So every school district would be able to get these buses. And something I think is important is that we have some school districts that are already doing this. There was a federal grant program a while ago, and there were some school districts that looked into it and said, it doesn't really make sense because of how remote we are. Our connectivity really doesn't work with different routers. But now with Starlink, and we have an organization called UETN that does a lot of the networking for technology like this, and they've been looking into it, and that would help our kids down in San Juan who are very, very far away from any sort of towers that would be able to help.
I was going to say, if this is going to be statewide, it's going to be quite an endeavor. Are you getting support from the schools, from the districts?
Yes. Before I ever ran this bill, I ran it by the Utah Rural Schools Association and asked, this is something I see in my district. Would you actually be interested in it? Why not? And that's when they told me some of the reasons why they hadn't done it before. And so reaching out and working with the organizations we have and the new technology we have, this is something that I think a lot of them are really excited about.
I think it makes sense, a lot of sense.
And I'm really excited because we just did Education Appropriations Committee 2 days ago, and it was one of the recommended items to fund.
Okay, all right. My other question for you specifically is on your school lunch bill. So what does that bill do?
Yeah, I'm really excited, and I'm presenting that in committee today.
Woohoo!
So the Utah School Board passed a model policy 3 years ago that said that the best thing for students to be able to do is to have 20 minutes to sit and eat their lunch. We decided last year to use taxpayer money to pay for the family portion of reduced lunches. And so one of the reasons why we did that is because many people came and said this is the most nutritious meal of the day for so many kids. But on the flip side, when the kids don't eat lunch because they don't have enough time, all of that food and taxpayer money is ending up in the garbage. So if we believe that this is such a substantial meal of the day, I want to make sure that they have time to actually eat it. So I want also local control is a big thing that I advocate for. And every school is different on how they could do this. But I want every community council to sit down and look at the model policy, look at their own lunch policy and say, okay, what is not matching up here, and how can we get closer to this to make sure that our kids can get the time that they really need?
So does it expand the 20 minutes, or does it expand to 20 minutes?
So it would be 20 minutes seated. So for example, my kids have 15 minutes to eat right now.
Okay.
But what that means is they're leaving the classroom, washing their hands, going through the line, getting their lunch, and sitting down. By the time they're actually sitting down, that's 5 minutes to eat.
Right.
And then they're being kicked out to go to recess. So this would be trying to get the schools to figure out, do you add an extra line to get your kids through faster so they can go sit down and eat? So they can be creative however they want, but I want them to find a way for kids to be able to have 20 minutes to eat. And there's a few principals who have been doing this in their schools, and it's really good. Some of them have also done the recommendation to have recess first. And this principal told me that they had 0 wasted milk when they moved to recess first, because the kids had used up all their energy, they were thirsty, they came in, and they eat. The research shows 54% more vegetables if they have time to eat and they have recess first.
Yeah, I have seen the same thing with my 11-year-old that you're saying. She will come home and I'll say, "What'd you eat?" And she goes, "Well, I didn't really have time."
Yeah.
So she basically snarfed something really quick and then she was out the door again.
It's true, and it doesn't promote good eating habits if you're never consciously figuring out what you're eating, listening to your satiety cues. All the science shows this, and so many times we say we want to do things evidence-based. There's nothing more evidence-based than this.
Interesting.
So maybe I didn't understand. You said, and it also would help with the family portion.
Yes. So there's
like a
free,
subsidy.
So there's free lunch right now through the government,
right?
The federal government, and then there's also a reduced amount for lunch that if you don't qualify for free lunch, you can qualify for reduced lunch, but the families are in charge of that. Last year, we funded a bill to fund the family portion of it. So not only were they getting the federal grant side, but then they were getting the family portion paid through by the state taxpayer money.
Wonderful.
And so I want to make sure that we are being good students of taxpayer money. If we decide something's worth funding, then we need to make sure that it's useful.
What
and
a great
works.
idea, yes.
So just one final question. Is that state funding for the family portion, is that ongoing funding? This wasn't just a one-time thing?
So it's been recommended again for this year.
Okay.
So so it's right now currently being funded. So for next year, that's in the appropriations process.
Okay. And maybe a follow-up to that, and I don't know if you know the answer to this one, but during one of the government shutdowns, one of the discussions that was coming from the federal government was we're going to have an immediate stop to money that had already been allocated for summer feeding programs. How much does the state have into the summer programs? Do you know?
As far as I know, that's only a federal
Only
program.
federal. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Just really delightful to have you here. When we come back after our next break, we're going to have Senator Emily Buss come join us, and she is the one who is a member of the Forward Party. So the only member of a third party on Utah's Capitol Hill. Stay with us through this break.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. 2 people are in the hospital after getting hit by cars along the border of West Valley City and Kearns this morning, and one of them was hit twice. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
This all went down at the intersection of 4700 West and 5600 South. First, a kid or teen was crossing the street on the Kearns side of the road. Police say they were hit by a car. A man saw what happened, wanted to help the kid, but a second car came by and hit both the man and the kid. They were taken to the hospital. We're told the injuries were not life-threatening, and the driver that hit both of them, police say they drove off.
Investigators are currently searching for a dark-colored SUV. Anyone with information should give West Valley City Police a call. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump's border czar has announced an end to the immigration crackdown in Minnesota. Governor Tim Walz says he's optimistic, but there's a ways to go.
They left us with deep damage, generational trauma. They left us with economic ruin in some cases. They left us with many unanswered questions. Where are our children? Where and what is the process of the investigations into those that were responsible for the deaths of Renee and Alex?
Walz says thousands of federal agents will be pulled from Minnesota through this week and next. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 639 points. The S&P is down 91 points. And coming up, showers disperse this afternoon. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
For years I've said this, when it comes to the person you love, there are 3 dates you never, ever want to forget or overlook. 1, birthday. 2, anniversary. 3, it's Valentine's Day. And the perfect place to celebrate Valentine's Day with the one you love, it's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. First of all, of course, the best food you have ever had. But the ambiance, the wait service is absolutely incredible. And we have 2 locations. One, Hotel Park City, up in the mountains after a day of skiing. That would be perfect. And of course, also in downtown Salt Lake City at 275 South West Temple. The steaks are divine. You're going to love the seafood dishes, poultry, whatever it is, cooked to perfection at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Be sure to make your reservations now for Valentine's Day.
A family office is a team built to handle the 3 biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Drivers who switch their home and auto with Progressive could save money and time. Other things try to do this, but they really don't. Like the touchscreen at fast food places. It's not like you save time because it takes you longer to use a touchscreen than, I don't know, someone who works there. And another thing, you'd think it would save money because they're not paying a cashier, right? But no, same price. Also, why is there an option to tip? Who am I tipping? Exactly. Anyway, even if you can't save money and time with some things, you could with a Progressive Home and Auto Bundle. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states or situations.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Emergency traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Up to $500 for loan transfers. Love where you bank. Here's Michelle Rowe.
Emergency traffic northbound I-15 due to a vehicle fire. Looks like a motorhome caught fire right about 500 south. They do have that ramp right there closed down. It is off to the right. Traffic's having to work to get around that. You're backed up to the I-80 interchange, Spaghetti Bowl area at this point. And also for drivers making their way southbound, emergency traffic continues there as well. We have another vehicle that is another crash that's happened. It's blocking the 2 right lanes. This is headed into North Salt Lake, just north of the I-215 interchange, backing up to Woods Cross. Join Ovation Homes Fall in Love with Your Home event, February 14th, hosted by KSL Greenhouse Show, live in West Point, and Waffle Love at Sadie's Glen in Syracuse. Details visit ovationhomes.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 51 with showers fading this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow and Valentine's Day with highs around 50 degrees. Right now it is 48 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit House Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, we're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
We're back, and we're on the Hill today. I'm Holly Richardson, my co-host, of course.
Greg Skordas.
And we're joined right now by Senator Emily Buss, and she is the only member of a third party who's currently in the Utah legislature. She's a member of the Forward Party. Your whole just getting into office was really a fun process, for me, at least as an observer to watch. So first of all, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
I wonder, we have asked all of our guests today so far, what is it that got you motivated to run for office at all?
I felt like my city wasn't representing the younger families and the challenges that they were experiencing. So I ran for city council in the fall, and I just narrowly missed being elected for city council, and that's that was really my only political ambition I ever had.
And here you are.
Yeah.
So you're going to be running again this year then, correct?
Yes.
And tell us about the Forward Party, what our listeners need to know about that.
So the Forward Party, I really like how I don't have party leadership that's telling me you need to vote this way or the other. They focus on whatever the current issues for each state are. So the Forward Party in Minnesota, for example, they have different priorities and initiatives than the Utah Party. So we're focused on things that are affecting everyday Utahns.
One of the questions I have for you is, first of all, you were elected, I think, in December. Is that right?
Right before Christmas. Yep.
So this is a fire hose of like, welcome to the session. How has it been so far?
It's been a lot better than I was expecting, to be honest. It's crazy. It moves way faster than I was even imagining, but it's been a lot nicer than I was expecting it would be at the same time.
You thought it would be a little rougher than it's been?
I kind of thought I'd be a little shunned.
So when are you on committees then?
Yes, I am.
And when you caucus, does it just depend on how you feel about a certain issue?
So I don't have anyone that I caucus with, just myself. And yeah, I just vote for either however I feel about the issue or however my constituents feel about the issue.
If they've been messaging you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they sure messaged me.
Yeah, yeah, that's something that you learn quickly. What is one of the bills that you're working on that you're particularly interested in?
I'm working on SB 247. That just passed the Taxation Committee unanimously yesterday.
Wow.
And I'm excited for that one because we need more roads and we need them yesterday.
So explain what that is.
So it freezes the floor for the gas tax so that we have predictable, stable funding coming into the transportation fund.
Is there something about the legislation, the session that surprised you, like just you had no idea? Because you did come from not having a great idea about what's going on up here.
I've been pleasantly surprised to see how well everyone works together on most of the issues. It seems like there are really just a few very partisan issues, but for the most part, it's not controversial. Everyone's a team. So that's been a good surprise.
And in November, when you run, you'll have two opponents, I assume, from the Republican and Democratic Party. So how do you get your name out?
Just work on messaging and showing what I'm working on right now. That's my goal, just showing what I'm actually doing on the ground, making good decisions for my constituents, and then being able to show them the outcomes that I've achieved.
So we're on the Hill today because we're really, it's partly because we're halfway through the session, but the other part is because on the 12th of February in 1870, the territorial governor signed a universal women's suffrage law, and 2 days later, we had the first woman in the nation cast a ballot. What does even our whole history about the women's suffrage movement in Utah, what does that mean to you?
Just having the women fight for the right to vote really opened up the door to all of us having the opportunity to fight for a seat at the table and just to have representation and a seat at the table where decisions are made.
Have you felt as a woman that you are treated equally up here? Do you feel like, because there is a good representation of women, maybe not 50%, I heard it was something like 32%, but do you feel any different? I mean, maybe from being in the Forward Party already has you a little bit in a different category, but do you feel like your gender makes any difference with what you're doing up here?
I mean, I think I'm kind of underestimated in general. I'm the youngest state senator, I'm the only third party, and I'm a woman, so I think generally everyone underestimates me just a little bit. I'm not sure how much gender has to do with that, though.
Right, because you're new.
Yeah.
Right. And this is something you want to continue. You've enjoyed it enough that you think, hey, this is something I want to do.
Yeah, I'd love to see what I can do if I have 4 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So when your predecessor, walk us through how you got to this position, because there was a little bit of confusion about that. Let's be honest. Your predecessor moves into some different category, or I don't remember what happened, but all of a sudden you're up.
Yeah, so I mean, I was running for city council, and I guess that put me on the radar of the Forward Party. I was already feeling kind of politically homeless at the time, so I had signed their pledge basically to just be a decent human being while I was campaigning for municipal elections. And so I was a little bit aware of them, and I learned more. And when they asked me if I'd consider this, I kind of thought they were joking because I have never considered this ever. And they just encouraged me to give it a shot, and I won the preference poll, and here I am.
Yeah. One of the things that was different about that election is they did do this preference poll. They did it online. It was the first in the state that opened it up past just delegates to the party. Do you think that that's something they're going to continue as a party?
The Forward Party, definitely. But I'd love to see the other parties adopt that, because everyone in my district, which has such a huge boundary, they all really enjoyed being able to have a say in who replaced Senator Thatcher. And I think that should be the standard.
That is one of the things that's, I think, a little bit different sometimes is these midterm vacancy replacements go just to the delegates, typically, and you can have somewhere between, it feels like a couple dozen to maybe 100, and that's it.
Yeah, and they're usually the more politically extreme in the parties, too, that are the delegates.
Tell us about the organization of the Forward Party. The hierarchy, if anything. A lot of us don't know how your party is set up.
So I think it was April of last year, they merged with the Utah
Right.
United Party, and they have party chairs, and then they also have the county chairs and county leadership, and they all come together. All the leadership throughout the state comes together to determine what the priorities are, and then everyone votes on the ranking of those priorities.
Do you feel like it's important right now in our country and in our state that we have an alternative to the two political parties?
I do. I definitely do.
I mean, it seems like there's a lot of dissension right now between the two political, maybe more than ever, and perhaps a third party is a way to I don't know, break that up, or at least consider another option.
Yeah, I think we definitely need it, and I think right now is the right time as well.
All right. Well, I will ask you, maybe we'll try to talk to you on the last day, because the speed is going to pick up, actually, as we get closer and closer. I'll just have one final question. Are there any bills that you're carrying that are maybe coming from the House side that you're going to be the Senate floor sponsor for?
Today, my very first one.
What is that one?
It's HB 22. It's vintage vehicle amendments. So it's just changing it to classic car instead
Changing
of vintage.
the name, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize they'd already gotten rid of the vintage plates.
I didn't know that either. So
I have a
we
car with
learned
vintage
something
plates.
else.
What's going to happen?
Nothing. You still keep it.
Okay, good.
All
You
right.
scared me.
Thanks so much for joining us. We've been talking with Senator Emily Buss, a member of the Forward Party and on Utah's Capitol Hill as the newest senator.
Thank you so much for joining us.
When we come back after the break, we're going to be joined by House Speaker Mike Schultz, who is going to give us an update on the halfway mark and some of his priorities. So stay with us.
Amanda, I've been taught to begin with the end in mind. And when it comes to something like weight loss, that's really, really important, because some weight loss plans have no end. It's like another refill or another bill or another year. But Soda Weight Loss has a finish line.
You learn it once, you use it forever. And I'm all about health. I mean, I don't want to have my body become addicted to another drug that I have to take forever in order to be healthy. I want the opposite of that. I want fewer medications. I want my body to learn how to do this on its own and be strong.
For so many weight loss drugs, you have to just take them forever in order to maintain that feeling when you cross the finish line.
Yeah.
When I hit 70 pounds that I let go of in 5 months, what an amazing feeling. And it was amazing to know I could just go forward from this point.
You can talk to a nutritionist and ask all your questions at 866-800-SODA.
Or you can go to sotaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Because at SOTA, join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
What's better than a credit card with low interest? How about one with no interest? For a limited time, when you open a new America First Visa credit card, you'll enjoy 0% APR for the first 6 months. Transfer your balances from higher rate cards to your new America First card to consolidate debt and potentially save yourself a lot of money. That's 0 interest for 6 months. Interested? Then hurry to americafirst.com to apply today. Introductory variable annual percentage rate is subject to membership, eligibility, terms, creditworthiness, change, and conditions. Other limits and requirements may apply. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal opportunity lender.
If you've been disappointed by underachieving savings, a high-yield certificate from America First can be a fantastic way to help your money start doing more. Whether you're planning for an upcoming expense or just want to save smarter and earn bigger, America First's flexible certificates are an outstanding way to grow your cash. So don't wait to get your money working. Head to americafirst.com and open a high-yield certificate today. Membership eligibility, terms, conditions, and change apply. Fees could reduce account earnings. Federally insured by NCUA.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Founded in 1945, the Utah Foundation is a nonprofit research organization that provides clear, nonpartisan analysis and publishes yearly reports to help Utahns and policymakers better understand the issues shaping our state's future. President Sean Teigen joins us with more.
So the Utah Foundation's 2025 signature project was the Social Capital Index. That project culminated in finding that Utah has very high social capital. But what is social capital? So it refers to the ways people use networks and social connections to benefit both themselves and their communities. For example, maintaining relationships with coworkers as they move into new jobs can keep you up to date in the industry, maybe place your child into an internship, or even give you a leg up in finding a better job yourself. Maintaining relationships with your business is just as important. If you are Garbett Homes, for instance, your concrete supplier might be Staker Parson, and your lumber supplier might be SunPro. The strength of these bonds is what social capital is all about. Finally, at the Utah Foundation, we see the Salt Lake Chamber as part of our social network. We see the Chamber as part of our team, with both of us benefiting from this relationship at the end of the day.
The Social Capital Index highlights how strong relationships drive opportunity and economic growth across Utah. Understanding these connections helps communities thrive. Explore the findings at utahfoundation.org. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Common Spirit Health, hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
Go because it goes so fast.
I
When we're
know.
on the
We've
hill.
had a lot of people. It's been fun to be up on
love
the
it.
hill. It's been great.
I love it so much. I wish we could come up every day. So during the session, we have with us as our last guest today, Speaker Mike Schultz. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, it's an honor to be here with you guys today and your listeners. And I just want to publicly thank you guys for coming up to Capitol Hill and broadcasting live from Capitol Hill. It's truly great to have you guys here talking about the things that's happened up on Capitol Hill, making the public aware of what's going on. So thank you for that.
So we are at the halfway point, Speaker.
Yes.
Tell us what's going on now as opposed to maybe where we would have been a week or two ago. It seems like we're shifting more from the committees to the actual floor and getting more votes on.
Yeah, you're spot on. So I like to remind people that even though we moved past the halfway point in terms of days, when you look at it in terms of hours, we're probably only about a quarter of the way through, right?
Yeah,
because
that's real.
The further we get into the session, the more hours and the later we stay, clear even until midnight sometimes. So as you guys know, but yeah, so what we've done recently is the subcommittees on appropriations have just finished up their work on the budget. That's obviously the legislature's number one most important issue is passing the budget. And so the subcommittees have finished that up. That will now come to EAC, which will then free up more time for policy discussions in the standing committees. So we'll start having more standing committees, which will then lead to more bills coming to the House and Senate floors. So therefore leads to more floor time on the House and Senate floors as well. So you're spot on.
I have another number for you. As of this morning, there were over 900 bills that have been released, numbered and released, which seems like a lot. I know it's record-breaking.
Too many, yeah.
It also seems like we're slower, maybe. The legislature's slower at actually getting bills passed this year. How is that playing out?
So you're spot on. We just simply can't keep up with all the bills that have been introduced. There's going to be a lot of bills, a lot of disappointed people on bills that don't even get heard because there simply are so many. And we're trying to take a slower, more deliberative approach this year. We have passed less bills through the process at this point in time because we're really trying to focus on spending more time vetting the bills and given a little more time for people to understand what's going on some of these bills.
How do you prioritize? I mean, what do you do when the 900 bills? I mean, how do you decide which ones are going to be heard? Because that ultimately falls on you, I think.
Well, ultimately it falls on the Rules Committee. Okay. And so they are the sifting committee. They're the ones that look at it. So in the House, I think we have an 8-member Rules Committee. They go through and they vet all the bills prior to. Now, it's just a high-level vetting process in the Rules Committee that says, okay, this one probably doesn't meet muster. There's probably others that are more important, and so they'll let out the others that are more important and kind of hold back on some of the others that are less important.
So a question for you. We've been talking with a lot of our guests today about bills that really focus on families.
Yes.
What are some of the priorities for the House when that comes to that?
I love that. And let me just say, I love the fact that, so in the past, the House of Representatives has really focused on families and cost of living and so on and so forth. This year, you're seeing the House Republican Party, the Senate Republican Party, the Senate Democrat Party, and the House Democrat Party come together on families and cost of living. I think it's the first time since I've been in the legislature that families have been a top priority for the whole legislature. So we're really excited about that. Yes, there's been a lot of great bills that's being discussed. A handful we'll just talk about real quick is Representative Ballard has a bill. I think you may have already spoken with her about this, but there's actually penalties in our tax code for people that get married. And so reducing that or eliminating those penalties for getting married, we think is a great idea. Representative Thompson has a child care tax credit in the House, and so we need to do all we can on expanding child care options here in the state of Utah. This helps do that. And then Representative Miller has a child tax credit that's passed out of committee and will be heard in the House of Representatives very soon. So we're doing all we can to make life more affordable for families and make it easier. As we know, our birth rate in Utah has dropped significantly. We want to do all we can to bring that birth rate up and get people having kids again.
And I think helping young families, just from our talk on the show, will help people do something that's becoming increasingly more difficult in Utah, and that is get into a home.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, it's affordability, and I can't afford to do child care and buy a home, and maybe this is something that can help more young people get into a house.
You're spot on. We can talk a little bit about that just a little bit. So there's not a lot that we can do from the state government on housing affordability because really the local governments, the cities and the counties are in control of the zoning, and that's the way it should be. But you know, as we talk about what are the things we can do from the state, and as we're working with our local partners, one of the things we hear most from our local partners, cities and counties, is we need more money for infrastructure, for roads, sewer systems, water systems, and those types of things. And so Representative Cal Roberts has a really good bill that works to address infrastructure and providing loans at a very low interest rate for municipalities if they're creating housing opportunities for our kids and grandkids. So it's a really good bill. We're excited about it. It's one of the things that we think will move the needle most in trying to curb the band on housing prices in Utah.
So I'm going to ask you a question about a bill that you're running because it's rare for a Speaker of the House to run a bill. You're running a bill on some transparency issues, is that right? Do you want to talk to us about that one?
Oh, so I'm just behind it. I actually started this transparency bill with the courts, started working the transparency bill with the courts. I've actually passed that bill into Representative Logan Monson. So he's run that bill. So, yes, so that bill will likely be up in committee in Friday tomorrow. So what when we look at the transparency at the courts level, Utah is ranked dead last, number 50 for transparency and for disclosures with our courts and court systems out of all the states in the nation. And so what we're looking to do is bring the same type of transparency that's in the legislative branch as well as the executive branch to the judicial branch as well. And I just really want to give a huge shout out to our courts. They've really jumped on this, on board with this idea and this bill. They're excited. They expressed excitement to me 2 days ago in working together on it. So we're going to do this collaboratively and go through the process, and we're excited about this bill.
So remind me then, of the bill that you are running.
Okay, so I'm running the Sensing Commission bill. That's a bill that I'm running.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
That's right.
yeah.
We had talked about that
Yeah.
even on our show, I think.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that one.
Hey, there's an amendment that's better, I think.
Okay, all right.
There's an amendment. It actually just got made public just a minute ago. Bring some defense attorneys back on. I think it finds the right balance, and I believe most people are supportive of it now.
Okay, and where is that bill in
Or
process?
even, or okay with it, or supportive of it, one or the other. So that will actually be up in the Senate committee. It's passed off the House floor unanimously. It will be up in the Senate committee with some additional changes this afternoon.
Holly did mention to me at the outset that often the speaker doesn't get involved in a lot of legislation, but you seem to be a little more active this year.
Well, I like to get a little active. That's one of the things I miss most. One of my favorite, I love public policy and doing things that move the needle in the right direction for the state of Utah. And when you're Speaker of the House, you're dealing with so much of the administrative stuff that a lot of times you don't have time for that. I want to make it a priority to do big things that are super important to the state of Utah, and this is one of the ones that I think feel that way about.
Can I go back to the transparency issue? Because I was interested. I heard you speaking maybe last night.
Yeah.
So I can go in my computer and look at court records because I purchased this system and I'm an attorney.
Yes.
Are you saying that type of technology would be more available to the public?
It is. It'll all be available to the public, and even more so. And it'll be more organized to where you can click on a judge and be able to see every decision that's ever been made. It'll be a lot more transparent, easier to navigate. Yes, and you high-priced attorneys will still have to be able to pay to help offset some of the costs, but you'll at least be allowed, we're talking maybe 50 free searches per month on it, and so your fees will hopefully come down a little bit. How's that?
And you're saying that the courts are generally supportive.
Yeah, I don't want to speak on behalf of the courts, but yes, the information as we've been discussing it, they actually said we're excited to work on this with you. We're going through that process, and it's been a really good process so far.
Hey, thank you for joining us, and thanks for always being available. You talk to Holly and I anytime we call you. You've just been wonderful.
You guys have a great